Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to Squared Circle Society. I'm Flesh Wound Dan, joined by producer Todd.
Good evening.
Pugs Dread.
Namaste.
And our special guest of the evening, Slava Siderman. Slava, how are you doing?
I'm really good. It's been a long week, but I'm great. It's Friday, finally.
Yes.
It is. And for anybody unfamiliar, Slava, you are pretty much everything that this show is about. You've got the old school XPW wrestling background, which we'll get into because we were all there as fans back in the day. Yeah. You are an AVN Hall of Famer.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And you also do horror.
Yes.
So everything that Flesh Wound features is. So it made sense to have you on.
Yes.
So, you're already a friend of the show without us ever talking to you like legitimately. So you're clear.
I deal in fake orgasms, fake blood, and real blood now. So
there you go.
I've actually made that comparison. Like pornography is just like wrestling with the physical act of it, like imitating it, but actually kind of doing it too. Because like they still, yeah. And then also I try to convince comedians like it's also storytelling. So anyway, but yes, you're awesome. I love your field of work, and if you need an assistant, right here.
Yeah, we I did a few indie movies, and we had an adult film set scene, and I accidentally sprayed the actress in the eye with conditioner, which was supposed to be something else, and that was pretty embarrassing.
Get off my set.
Hung my head in shame on that one, but yeah. So how did you find XPW back in the day?
Gosh, it's so funny because I just saw a commercial on local television. It said deathmatch tournament. I'm like, what is a deathmatch tournament? This was the first one back in '99 or whenever the first one was. So I took my little brother to it. He was like 13 or 14 years old, not understanding what a deathmatch tournament really is. And then we actually fell in love with it from the first show because it was a train wreck, especially back then. You didn't see death matches in the United States. Like XPW brought it to the United States. And so I was working on a TV show at the time. So I went back to the TV show and I told one of the hosts who was a wrestling fan about it. And I brought him to the next XPW show. So he got to talking with Rob and Kevin, who was the general manager at the time, about doing some kind of collaboration because Rob did adult movies. So they brought Lizzie Borden in to the TV show. And that's how kind of like our connection started with XPW and eventually adult. It was literally from the first deathmatch tournament.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's funny in doing the show. I mean, we had Supreme on back in the day and Homeless Jimmy, a lot of the OGs. And it's amazing just how much XPW touched so many people's hearts because you could buy the videos in Suncoast. And
and Sam Goody's I think too.
Sam Goody, yeah. It touched a lot of people even beyond, California and New York. It was just something really special that I think in all our lives.
It was especially for West Coast guys. There was no, because East Coast usually has majority of the indie wrestling and all the wrestling really, and so to have something that was on that scale on the West Coast was cool because on the West Coast we had PW, Millennium Pro Wrestling, Rev Pro Wrestling, but then you're sitting with like 20 other people on the show, and you're watching local guys, young guys wrestle. But then XPW comes around and starts bringing in ECW dudes and actually men. You're watching men fight, kind of like XPW is now. It's men. I mean, like when you're in the locker room or you're shooting, you're going like, these are like dudes that are like, I mean, I don't know if I could swear or not, but
yeah,
go for it.
These dudes fuck you up, like for real. They're not like young skinny dudes jumping off balconies. They're like men, and
that's missing from pro wrestling now too, except for XPW again.
Right,
it's so missing, and that's why I can't take a lot of things seriously. But XPW religiously watch now.
It's funny because that's what Rob talks about on his show is that he tries to bring realism to it. And his argument always is women wrestling men in deathmatch terms. And he goes, how real is that when a 130-pound woman hits a 300-pound man with a light tube and the guy goes down? That makes no sense. And in some ways, it's true. If you're trying to make this as real as you can, and a lot of it is very real, you got to keep the realism there, and the realism would be that 130-pound man or woman is not going to beat up a 300-pound man with a light tube. That's not reality, and that's something that Rob brings to the roster and brings to the storytelling. Is that, man, these dudes, like, and they're all like giant men, like Necro Butcher. Until you stand next to that guy, you don't realize how big he is. Or Masada, and Schlack is short, but Schlack is like a giant tank. I mean, all these dudes. These are guys. Yeah, that locker room probably go up against any locker room. WWE, it doesn't matter.
I know where I'm placing my bet. Yeah.
They need to invade again. I think with Schlack, I think security's just going to be like,
Hey, I'm old enough to join now.
Have you seen the Zandig and Schlack thing that just went down?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, and I'm still a fan, right? So I never ask Rob shit about storylines, except whatever I want to like suggest. So I'll suggest, like with Misha, I used to shoot all the promos, come up with the ideas, shoot them, and send them out. So those storylines were like basically us coming up with it or me coming up with it and shooting some stuff. But that's as far as it goes. And so the other stuff, it would be like, I want to know, but I don't want to know. So when I see the Zandig stuff, when I saw one angle, I'm like, oh, he just showed up. And now I'm seeing different angles. I'm going, wait, he's going to be the surprise for the show? I don't know. And I don't want to ask. Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed, because and like I was talking to a few friends, and I'm like, this will blow up the internet, the indie wrestling internet, if Zandig actually showed up in XPW. And he's also very MAGA in real life.
Yes.
So it would only make sense.
He makes sense.
I don't know. Like, my heart's beating just thinking about it, because like when I go back to the locker room, like the next show, and he's there, I might pass out. I mean, not as a fanboy, just of like the pop that would hit if he actually did come out. Oh, geez. And then the beating he would probably take from Schlack.
Zandig's there's cred there, but Schlack is kind of next level right now.
I'm just thinking where the hell he can ascend to the top of the roof of the Pomona and then just dive out. Yeah, because
there will be a double cage in a few months.
That's coming up.
Wait! I haven't heard about this.
Oh, Genocide. Well, it's
on the flyer.
Really?
He's making the same face I did when I found out.
Yeah, he found out last time too. We talked about it on the last show.
For the California, the deathmatch tournament, I'm making a white jersey because I have a black one for myself. I'm gonna make a white custom one, and I'm gonna have all the wrestlers wipe their blood on it.
Nice.
And then I'm just gonna frame it. I think it's gonna be super cool.
That's
dope.
So that's and like for a while I stopped watching indie wrestling because I just got so busy. So the first deathmatch tournament that we just had last April, I didn't realize how big of wrestlers he had for the show. Alex Colon, and I mean, like, he had like the top guys. He actually had Matt Tremont that was supposed to show up, and he just didn't. Yeah. But he had like the full gamut of legendary deathmatch guys. So I'm looking forward to the next one to see who can line up. Maybe he'll bring Anita in and like stab him in the chest or something. I don't know.
I'm still waiting for that from 20 years ago. Anita show up.
You could do like exploding dynamite in the ass match, isn't it? In Japan they stick things up their ass and
exploding tentacle match. Let's do it.
August 26th at the Derby Room, Genocide 2.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, okay.
We were already like trying to figure out if we're doing teams of 4, who's on each team.
It's gonna be the Black Army. Oh, that's interesting.
Faces of death so far, but if Rob wants to join in and lead him to charge.
20 years old. 20 years old. I don't know if he's equipped to get in the ring anymore.
Well, he can work. He can ballet. He'll just shake the cage.
Big T actually has a question. Pugs, you want to read that one for us?
Big T, question. As a photographer, you've been in the crossfires of some pretty pivotal XPW moments. What's one situation that got so out of hand you had to think over taking a few steps back?
Honestly, this last show, when Schlack picked up that pane of glass and threw it out the ring, I literally thought he decapitated MAGA Butcher, because it didn't break. It bounced off. The hardcore hillbilly must have the softest head, because it just bounced off his head. It didn't. I know Schlack threw it out there so it breaks, and it just bounced, and the corner landed right next to Necro Butcher. I'm like, and I'm trying to run over there, and now I'm worried that it's going to be really gross, that he like hit him in the face or in the neck. luckily he missed him because like the footage I've been
That
editing.
much.
Yeah. You're just like, oh my god. Let me talk about sometimes better lucky than good, and that right there scared the hell out of me. There's a couple of Sage Sin, the cut on her head.
Yeah.
I adore that woman. She's so wonderful backstage, and she was the first wrestler to actually interact with me ringside last show in Jersey, where she grabbed me and she goes, get out of my way, motherfucker! You're my. And I'm like, oh, am I supposed to act? I'm scared. Like, and the lady, and I'm like, that was fucking wonderful. I scared the shit out of me.
Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, freak out because Rob talked about what he saw and about when she went backstage and she goes, is my head okay? And he goes, yeah, it's fine. And she looked in the mirror, she goes, I'm not fine, because her skull was literally like her skin peeled off and her skull's right there. And I'm going backstage and she runs in front. She goes, let's go take the pictures. No. And I'm following him like, oh my god. And she's holding her head. And when we get there, now I'm trying to adjust my exposure because I'm not one of those photographers who's on auto. I actually set up my proper exposures.
Right.
And so I'm like trying to set up my exposure for the back shots compared to the ring shots. And I'm like, oh my god, because I want to get the shot before she takes off.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a few shots and it was pretty gross up close, and I'm a very emotional person, and I actually started tearing up. And like I got really emotional when she walked away. I had to step aside because I got emotional just seeing her freaking out and seeing the injury on her head. It was one of those moments where you're like, you enjoy deathmatch wrestling, but you don't want to see these people injured, and you don't want to see their friends, their families. They're not there to seriously injure themselves or their opponent to a point where like they can't perform anymore, or God forbid something bad happened to them. When we used to my brother and I used to follow Angel for about a year back in the day. And some of the stuff we saw him go through is brutal to watch because when you get to know these people, not just as entertainers for you, as people, then you're just like, I want to see you entertain us, but I don't want to see you get seriously brutalized. And when you see something like that, it takes you back a little bit because that's when the humanity part kicks back in and you're like, okay, everything stops right now. I think this is why Rob said the maximum bleeding match needed to be the last match of the night in case somebody dies. They don't have to stop the show early. They just stop it right there because it's the last. It makes sense.
So that not exactly known for his deathmatch wrestling, but we do have a question on our Discord. What was it like backstage with Enzo Amore?
I was wondering about that just because you see him and you hear stories, and I shit you not, like the dude shows up and I'm trying to get pictures of him and I couldn't grab him because Rob's always like, because I'm the only photographer there, so I do all the backstage stuff, I do all the ringside stuff, and then at the last minute I was like, did you shoot a promo with that person? I'm like, nobody told me to shoot a promo. Go shoot a promo. So I'll go shoot a promo. So I'm running around I do about 20,000 steps during the show from everywhere I go. So Enzo, I'm trying to get the guy, and he's all like doing his thing, and then they're the first match. So I go down to the gorilla area, is that what it's called? And I'm like, hey, can I get you upstairs to take some pictures because the way the setup is there, the pictures are upstairs. And he goes, oh man, I gotta, I'm the first match. And I'm like, Rob, I didn't get any pictures of him. And he's all like, go take him upstairs. I'm like, he won't go upstairs. So Enzo goes, just take him right here. And I'm like, and against this fucking black wall with this horrible lighting. Okay, if I click. So after the match, I go straight to Rob and go, I didn't get any pictures of Enzo, and I know it's important, and I'm going, and I don't want to say like he threw attitude at me because he didn't. He was just kind of like in his own zone. But then we went upstairs, we took pictures, and I showed it to him, and he goes, whoa, these are really good. Do you have your contact information? So I gave him a contact information.
Sweet.
And ironically, he hit me up like about an hour and a half ago. He goes, bro, can I get those pictures? So I've been editing pictures. So I sent him the pictures. So he was really happy with that. So
that's good.
He wasn't like friendly, but he wasn't like an asshole. But my interaction with some of these guys is very limited, especially the ones that come in for like one show or their first show, because they know who I am. So a lot of the wrestlers are very standoffish at first. Like Necro Butcher was very standoffish first couple of shows, which I get. Who am I? I'm a nobody to them, So they don't know my history, my portfolio. So they're protecting themselves in the business, which I get. Yeah. But now it's a little bit different. Like Necro Butcher, this last show, he's giving me advice on women, and I'm like, oh, I'll take it. Bag of fish.
I want to commend you on actually getting in there and getting the good photos, because it drives me crazy, like, not to be a snob or anything, but seeing these dudes not go after and get it the fucking shot. They're staying in the back, not crossing the rail, drives me fucking nuts. So I do shoot for Kyle every now and again, CCW. I do my best to get in there, get the fucking shot. Like, it drives me nuts. So I applaud you for not worrying about your safety and just getting the fucking shot.
I appreciate it. I should. I'm going to be 53 next month, so I probably should worry about my safety. But the thing is, the way I look at it, these wrestlers put their life on the line for us. So I want to capture that moment. And this is kind of like when I tell the wrestlers that the photo is so much more impactful because it's dramatic. You're catching that frame. And it's that frame, the moment in time that will never move. And so you want to get the best shot. And with video, it just moves around, and it's soft if you try to grab the video still. So to me, it's always about catching the drama of it. And especially with death matches, it's so dramatic, and the visual and the layers of blood and glass and whatever else is in the shot. So to me, I always want to be in there and make sure I get the shot. And when I see the glass coming, I'll look away, I'll close my eyes, but I'm still snapping away to get the shot. And what you just said is so right on. I watch a lot of GCW stuff on Fight Plus, and to watch photographers hold a camera and a fucking beer, it pisses me off.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that's not a photographer. That's a dude who puts a camera on all auto and just clicks away. And then they put themselves photographer as bullshit. A photographer knows what an f-stop is. A photographer knows what shutter speed is, knows what lenses do, what focal length, stuff like that. Dudes that just pick up a digital camera and just snapping away while drinking a beer and looking around and then, enchanting. Like, dude, you're there to be a photographer. It's not about you. It's not about your pleasure right now. It's about you capturing the moment. And professional people understand that. And people who are just there because they're fans and they're given free reign to be ringside, they treat it as that. They don't respect it. And to me, I respect every wrestler, no matter if it's before the main card to the last one. And they all come up to me. Thank you so much for what you do. I'll tell you, like, some of the wrestlers, the best compliment I ever got was from Drake. And we were in the hotel room, and it was funny because I just came off an emotional argument, and Drake is sitting there and he's looking at me and he goes, I have to tell you, you're the hardest working person here. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you do all the backstage pictures, you do all the ringside, and you shoot the promos, and they're all fantastic. He goes, I was in WWE, and they have photographers for each part, and numerous photographers. You do everything yourself, and you do it at high quality. He goes, we do our match, then we go and relax. And you are just, from the beginning, you set up, you shoot, you break down, and you leave. And it was a very nice thing to say. And same with Schlack. He's constantly, thank you so much for what you, thank you so much for what you do.
Much better.
Jasmine St. Clair, like a lot of veterans, they appreciate, and the young guys, because the young guys probably don't get the images that I give them. Like JJ Escobar, never met the guy. He was like, thank you so much, and I love his look. I couldn't wait to watch him wrestle, because like that's a train wreck and a half every match. And then he's got the cool mask. And so, to me, I take it seriously. And it just pisses me off when I see just dudes just doing this. Or, sorry, on the cell phone.
No.
Yes.
I was terrified that Schlack was going to drop Jasmine in the barbed wire. It's like,
I didn't know that was happening. I'm like, oh, and I'm watching the footage back. Danny was trying to cut the top barbed wire and didn't get to it, because I was wondering, why is he walking around with wire cutters?
Right.
And then he should have started at the top one and worked his way down, but he started at the bottom, worked his way up, and he didn't have time.
He's only so tall.
That dude, we were at the airport and never travel with this man, because we're going through security, and the whole time he goes, hey man, your cock ring is going to set the alarm off. And he keeps saying it, and then they're like patting down, they're like, you should pat down his cock ring because it didn't. I'm like, stop, there's kids.
Yeah, he's a character and a half that you never know the fucking guy.
Now he's MAGA. MAGA, I guess.
He made me make sure that his name came up in this. So there we go, Munch.
He did. Okay.
He's supposed to be on now, but he said he was running late. So.
Oh my goodness.
He needs to get 8x10s when he stormed the Capitol. I think
I
those would
know,
be very
yeah.
They're
popular.
so amazing. It's so good. Too. I'm just like, the first time I saw it, I literally LMAO'd.
Yeah. There's like 4. I think there was like 4 of them. Yeah, we want to print them out and have them sign them all.
Dude,
Give 'em
those
away
need
as
to be a
contest.
T-shirt also.
I know, and that'd be great. If they really want to go racist, to go El MAGA, which would be
The mark, yeah.
Oh man. So also, as I said at the beginning, we're big fans of adult cinema as well. And I have to say, I think our favorite, of course, is Texas Asshole Massacre, which is a classic.
It's funny. I'm gonna say this before you do it. Like, we were talking like before the interview,
Mhm.
and like I knew you did adult stuff, but I didn't realize you were that Ivan. So like, because we love that one. We did like a show on Patreon a while back that like we talked about, what is it, 3 or
Parodies.
4 different chainsaw parodies?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vibrator Massacre.
Vibrator
Yeah.
Masquerade. There's
Yeah.
and yeah, we that was the first time watching yours.
Mhm.
Well, for me it was, I think, and we loved it. It was funny though, off air, and I was telling him we were talking about some of your credits,
Mhm.
and there was one of them in particular. Dad got very excited, jumped up and ran and had to show us that he owned it.
Yeah, I can't show that on YouTube.
Yeah, it was the title, like.
Wait, it's clean.
Okay.
I have the VHS box still. The VHS box sitting on the shelf.
That's awesome.
Look how thick it is. This thing is. I can't
Yellow.
show it.
The big boxes.
The old
Yeah.
big box. Yes.
I remember looking at those
That
one day.
that probably has one of the funniest sex scenes ever with Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. You know that thing where he's all like, he grabs her clit ring and he goes, "Is this a weapon?" And
Yeah.
you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to put a knife to her throat. You know, and then he wanted to put a gun in her vagina. And I'm just like, dude, no, you can't. You're so into this character. And when she was doing her piercing, after the scene, Isabel goes to me, "I literally thought he was going to rip it out." I go, "So did I." What are you doing? But he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor because he was so good. That dude was
made people on set believe him.
that dude is so creepy. That dude did the roughest scenes. He would like slap the girls around, but then when it's time to like come, he was like, "Can you lick my nipple for like 10 minutes so I could come?" I'm like, you just get the hell out of the girl. Now you want her to lick your old man nipple? That's what we're talking about, okay? You know? So this guy, you know what? Funny thing, so Texas House of Massacre was Sage Stallone's favorite porno. I met him at film festival, and he goes, "You're Ivan, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "My favorite porno of all time is Texas Asshole Massacre." I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Rad.
You know what you were just saying, Todd? You were saying that you didn't realize I was that Ivan Slava. I'm going to tell you a quick funny story, which has something to do with indie wrestling as well. So back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember Epic, which was run by Gary Yap.
Still owes me like $23.
Yeah. What?
He still owes me like $23 or something.
There you go. We'll start with Gary Yap. So Gary Yap, as you all know, when the whole Messiah shit happened, he started Epic and had Messiah as the champ and doing all shoots and bullshit talking. And so before that, he was trying to get into XPW as a writer because some of the guys were telling me this. And when his ex-wife jumped in the ring at one expedition and pulled her boobs out, I posted in one of the chat rooms. I'm like, "What the hell does it?" There's like kids in the crowd. And he challenged me to a fight. And this is like a story that no one's ever heard like publicly. So this you guys getting like an exclusive. But you guys will appreciate it because you guys like are from back in the day. So he literally, "Here's my address, and we're gonna fight." And we're like, "We're gonna rumble for your whore wife." No, that's not happening. What? I don't know how to fight. I look like I don't know how to fight. I'm not gonna fight you. And so we went back and forth, and it was left alone. Then he starts Epic. He actually bans me and my brother from Epic. We weren't allowed to go to Epic. We wanted to because he flew in all these East Coast guys we wanted to watch, like Nick Mondo and Trent Acid, all those guys that we wanted to watch wrestle, but we were banned, so we never went. And then fast forward years later, I'm now I'm Ivan, not Slava, OG Siderman from XPW, like fan base crowd. I'm Ivan, the director now. So one of my good friends, Allison Tyler, who's a performer, she leaned out and she became a fitness model. So she was doing a fitness competition. So I go with her to record the whole thing, just for her, for YouTube, things like that. She goes, some of my friends are coming. So I'm sitting there in the crowd. She comes up to her. She goes, oh, my friend's coming. And shit you not, you know who walks in? Gary App. Gary App is her friend. And he sits down next to me and I'm like, oh, shit. And he goes, Ivan, I'm a huge fan of your work.
Really?
Dude had no idea I was the same guy that he threatened to beat up because of his wife, who eventually left him for Messiah. I'm sure. I don't know if you guys know this.
Yeah.
So he's like, I just love your work. You're so talented. And I'm just like, oh my freaking God, this dude has no clue. I'm the guy he wanted to fight in the parking lot of King of the Hill fucking Productions. King of the Hill, the cartoon. And I'm just sitting there like, this is the most priceless shit I've ever seen. So I text my brother and I go, guess who I'm sitting next to? There's Gary Yap. And he goes, oh, can you pass him a message for me? Tell him to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him fanboy out. I'm not going to say a word. And so hopefully, if he sees this, Gary Yap, I am the same guy you wanted to beat up because of your whore wife that now did some horse shit and is not with you anymore.
Full circle.
History of behavior.
Full circle, right? Exactly.
It's funny because I know we did speak a little before, but I'd mentioned like I said I don't think we ever actually met, but actually correction, because I forgot way back in '99 you had directed Y2K Shutdown Detected.
What?
And if my memory serves, you had a VCR combination. You were playing it at the table, and I bought a copy 24 years ago.
Oh my God! What?
And it was because I knew your name because of XPW. So that's the only reason I like stopped. And yeah,
what a small world! This is insane. You know that movie. This is a quick little indie story. Now you guys would love because you also horror fans. So that convention that you met me at, I was giving out copies because I was doing PR back then for us, and that's kind of led to me doing PR for everything else. I made, I don't know, like 30, 40 copies, VHS copies of the movie with self-addressed stamped envelopes, and I would give them to celebrities. And I gave one to John Landis. I was a dick. We were walking behind John Landis during the convention. I started making the helicopter sound with dollar bill. As you guys know, Twilight Zone 2, the movie.
You are one of us for sure.
we are no stranger to some Landis helicopter.
Yeah, we are your kind. And like
so I'm like, shit, like I feel like an asshole because now he's at our thing and I'm giving him a copy and I'm like, oh, I just made helicopter sounds behind him. What a dick. So this is way before emails and everything like that. Right. So he 2 weeks later passed, I get an envelope from John Landis. And he sent the movie back with a letter that says, thank you so much for letting us watch your movie, my business partner and I. So I sent him a letter back saying, can we get a quote? So shit you not, 2 weeks later, I get a postcard that's still sitting on my mantle. It's an Alfred Hitchcock postcard. And on the back, it says, Y2K and Zombies, what could be better? Signed, John Landis. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing. God, I wish I could find a dollar bill and burn it, because this guy wanted to be so nice and so supportive. I'm never getting in a helicopter with a man, but he was so generous. And then a few years later, there was a 20-year anniversary for American Werewolf in London, which is by far. Oh yeah. Wait, how do you have? Oh, look at you!
I saw you posted it the other day, so perfect for the story.
And the funny thing is about the story, I was about to bring up the fact that I ran into him at a Grindhouse Film Festival that's local here, that's owned by Tarantino now, for the 20-year anniversary of my favorite movie, American Werewolf in London, and brought the postcard, and he remembered. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember your movie. Talked a little bit about it. He signed it. And I took a picture with him. So, yeah, there it is. That's me from, gosh, God knows how many years ago.
20
some years ago.
Oh, shit.
Let's close that
up. Just making sure your address wasn't available. That's all.
No. I had it covered up for the picture.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, I'm looking for stalkers these days. So,
okay.
Female stalkers preferably.
Never know. Yeah, I think
that was you messaging. Yeah, I already checked bug. Yeah, it's funny because you brought that up. You posted the other day, and I didn't want to bring it up just in case, there was sensitivity against Landis jokes.
No. I'm an open book.
Just go up to him and go, favorite Vic Morrow movie, go.
I still like Twilight Zone the movie, even if it is a mess in his segment.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, do you have? Obviously, you did many adult films. Do you have like a really funny, embarrassing porn blooper that happened on set that sticks out?
Gross stuff for sure. Oh yeah. I gotta go on.
That works.
I mean, like you guys are on YouTube. I guess I should be careful the way I say it, but so we're shooting a series called Cocktails, and Cocktails is basically for Extreme, and everything that comes out of the guys goes in this white bucket from the beginning through the scene, after the scene, and then the girl drinks it. So we were shooting the scene with Gia Paloma, and wonderful, creative, artistic woman. So she comes up with this whole Clockwork Orange scenario. She paints the whole set to be Clockwork Orange. She's got the Clockwork Orange makeup on, and it's 3 guys and her, and she's got a white bucket. And the whole point is at the end, she's going to do a white enema, a milk enema. Got a big gallon of milk, and she's going to funnel it in, shoot it back into the bucket, and drink it. So Rob and I are shooting, and everything's going well. The scene's over. Now the funnel goes in, and obviously a human body can't hold a gallon of milk, so it starts like coming back out. So one of the guys grabs the bucket, puts it there, and he's holding it, and we're shooting. And as we're shooting, we're going, there's like Snicker bars coming out. What is happening? We're like, oh my goodness, right? So Rob's shooting high, I shoot low, so we don't see into the bucket, right? And so we have 2 angles, face, low, and because we're professionals, you know. You know how to shoot that.
You gotta have choices.
I want eventually to prison anyways, but so she puts the bucket down. She's sitting there in front of the camera, and she looks down, and she thinks she's slick, right? She's like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to drink it," or whatever the fuck she's saying. So I'm low shooting, so you can't see in the bucket. Rob's shooting this way, but you can still look. I'm shooting, but I'm looking, and she cups it, and she pulls it up against the front of the bucket, right? And she throws.
Oh no!
Right, but she leaves this brown stain up, and so we're like, oh my god, and she just drinks, right?
Trooper.
She drinks it all, and then done, and then she's like, ha ha ha, she's all having a good time, and then Rob goes, go get the shot. So I run to the set because the Snicker bar hit the wall and slid down. So I'm running over there to get the shot, and she runs over. She goes, "Stop! That's embarrassing!" And she grabs it and she runs out of frame. And I'm like, "Oh, that just happened." Okay. And then Rob goes, "Man, it smells like someone took a shit in here." I'm like, "Someone just did take a shit in here. What do you mean it smells like?"
Lactose intolerant.
You know, like Gia was like so wonderful. She was a team player. I love Gia Paloma. She probably never heard the story, but I'm sure she's seen the video.
I like that she ran off with it. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
like, you're not getting this one.
She didn't finish it off. I doubt it, but yeah, she was that series, man. Like we shot Cammie Andrews, who's my ex, for that scene, and luckily, you know, when you're shooting your loved one, someone that you're in love with, and you watch them go through that, and then you go like, she's gonna drink it at the end. Oh my god! Luckily, she stepped on the bucket and spilled it all out. And I'm like, so then we had to put kayfabe. Spoiler alert! It wasn't real stuff in there. They put water and beer in there.
Oh my god!
Dang it! It's not real human fluids in there. No.
GXH brought something up before we had a chance to, because you brought up cocktails. I don't know which number it was, but one of the cocktails, I believe 5, was part of the Federal 5.
Yes. Yeah.
And GXX asked, were you part of? Did you direct any of the Federal 5?
No, that was before my time.
Okay.
The funny thing is that with some of the scenes in the Federal 5, Misha Montana and we talked about recreating some of the scenes, like the Statue of Liberty gangbang is brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. You know, it's like the girl is literally painted and looks like Statue of Liberty. She's crawling across a table with a bunch of presidents. And then they, you know, then they treat her like the Statue of Liberty she is. And we want to recreate that scene with the new presidents, you know, and stuff like that. And we're gonna have Sleepy Joe sleeping in the corner.
I'm just gonna say it's time for a special edition of the Federal Five, and that would be a great companion piece.
Right?
4K box set, Todd. It's gonna happen.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is, I talk to Kat all the time, and at in Jersey, her and I wound up sitting around and talking for a few hours, and she's trying to talk Robin to bring back Extreme Associates, at least for one movie.
Yeah.
And
That'd be cool.
Misha and I have actually, for about a year and a half, been talking about doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 and having her play Cammy's daughter. And so we've been trying to figure out how to pull that off because we have to buy the rights to the name of the movie. And I was like, man, if I could actually pull off getting Cammy to do a cameo, like even just like not adult stuff, but like just her face, like a face something would be amazing. I don't know if she would do it. I talked to her like 4 or 5 years ago. She calls me every birthday. So we're still really on good terms. But some of these movies we really want to bring back, like when Veronica Kane did a scene with Osama bin Laden. You know,
Yeah.
it was an Ass Clowns or whatever that one of those was. It was brilliant. I mean, to me, probably the most creative thing I've ever seen because they had Valentina dressed as Osama bin Laden. They were using actually Osama bin Laden's voice for the speeches, and they just had Valentina just mime while they played Osama bin Laden's voice. It's brilliant. I mean, brilliant. Was Osama bin Laden's going to sue you? No.
End of the world.
Taliban's lawyers on the phone, guys.
You got a fatwa now.
I do kind of want to see like the lawsuit between Rob Black and Osama bin Laden.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
The biggest space turn of all time. Internet community. End of the world said never forget. You're right.
In retrospect, this Rob guy isn't so bad.
You know, that's the funny thing is like when because I worked for Extreme Associates for about 3.5 years, and when somebody got upset when I said Extreme Associates.
That's my dog.
There's a woke dog in the room. Doesn't like it. So when I left Extreme Associates, they had such a bad reputation because people just didn't know. They just assumed it's all evil over there. And the first movie I directed for Anabolic, I got this horrendous review from somebody, and they're like, "Well, Ivan came from Extreme Associates, so he's a woman hater." And and in the movie, you could tell I actually shot the prettiest movie at Anabolic to the point they fired all the other directors because I made the girls look so good during teases, and it was like all like polite and just made him look beautiful. And this asshole, because I worked for Extreme Associates, was like, "Ivan hates women," and my co-director Tony T literally sent him an email said, "Next time I see you at a convention, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
Yeah,
and, because it was bullshit. It's because like the reputation followed me, and the reality was what we shot there was so tame compared to other companies. And every girl that came in, we showed them this is what we're shooting. This is the series. You're welcome to stay or go. And the majority of the girls stayed. And especially when you're walking into Extreme Associates office, like a Max Hardcore office or GM Productions or whoever else, you know, especially back then, what you're getting into, because it's not like now there's like 2,000 internet companies and it's a free-for-all and none of them know obscenity laws. Back then, everybody knew the laws. Everybody knew what the deal was. We just got a bum rap for it. And Rob wasn't the nicest guy, but Rob creatively was the best boss I've ever had. You know, I mean, he was always like, "There's 3 rules: no shit, no fisting, no making fun of Jews. That's it. Everything else is good."
It's Holocaust Remembrance Day today, by the way. So yeah, good job.
I think
what if we shit on the Jew while fisting them? Is that okay? No.
Right, combining all 3, it's fine. Negates everything.
We got a couple more questions. Let's do this one first because it kind of fits. How was Extreme HQ? You kind of said a little, but
it was oh my gosh, it was so interesting because it was every day was an adventure. I one time brought in a fellow director from Anabolic, and Anabolic was so corporate. And then he's always was curious about Extreme. So I brought him on a day, and he could not believe what was going on. We had one room where we had a guy had spinal bifida, so he's super short, but he was naked, dressed up as Jesus on the cross. And one priest is having sex with a nun, while the other nun is shooting ass juice all over both of them. And he's yelling, "My children, drink the ass juice." So that's in one room. You go in another room, and there's Lizzie Borden taking topless pictures with a goat, not sexual, just like pictures for like for a photo shoot with a goat, with an actual goat, And then another room, something else was going on, and my friends are like, "Oh my God, is this what goes on here all the time?" I'm like, "Not all the time, but majority of the time, because everybody who worked there, you had so much creative freedom. You did whatever you wanted, and it was so weird and so ridiculous. Rob would walk into your office. He used to chew tobacco. He would just spit on the floor and just keep walking. Rub his boogers on your wall. It was very, very creatively. It was wonderful. And the problem was when the drama started, it was just a lot. And but besides the drama, it was I loved it. I mean, obviously, budgets wise, we were limited. When I came in, Rob wasn't, rolling in money like he was before I got there. But creatively, it was wonderful. Imagine working for a boss when you walk in the room and you go, "Good morning," goes, "Go fuck yourself." And he's not saying it because he hates you, he's saying it in terms of endearment,
Sure. Fucking love this guy. I'm telling you, I do that.
I think a lot of people don't realize how funny some of those movies were. They hear, certain things, and it's like a lot of the Extreme Associates stuff was like a trauma movie.
100%. And I grew up in trauma, and so to me, that's what it's all about. Actually, Y2K Shutdown Detected was released by a similar company like Trauma, EI Cinema. They do like erotic witch project and all that shit. So the campiness of Extreme. That's the funny thing, is that people just take it too seriously. I mean, there were some serious rough movies. We did a series called Go Fuck Yourself with Coffee Ron, who would slap the girls around while they masturbated, and that was very rough. But also, he so cared about the women. At some point, he started getting very soft for for what he was doing, to a point like Rob had to reprimand him. "You're being too nice to the girls." I like the girls. And so and it was always like that. It was never like somebody's coming in there and we're purposely going to try to damage them. There were websites like that, like Meat Holes, Jam Productions. Those companies legit hurt girls. And like we didn't. And the fact that Extreme got this bum rap while these companies were flourishing, Max Hardcore,
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like when we did those pissing things, we had a website called Piss Zone. Every girl was asked after the scene, "For $50, can we piss on you?" Sure, why not? The only problem I had with that, we didn't have a shower, so we had a kiddie pool with a hose and no towels. So
you made it work.
XPW shirts to wipe themselves down. I'm like, dude, can we just get some towels? They're cheaper than shirts. It was a lot of fun. And
Munch, the drizzling shits.
There was one, I'll tell you one funny one. It was Brooklyn Night or something like that. Did one scene and was gone. She shows up to do a scene. We were actually moving out of the building. So we were gone, and Rob's like, "Do whatever the fuck you want to build, spray paint the walls, whatever, So we're shooting this girl, and she's doing the scene, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm down to do a piss zone thing for whatever it was, $50, $100 afterwards." So our graphic guy, who didn't do scenes, but he would do the actual peeing, he's standing there off camera drinking a gallon of water. And I'm like, "Dude, this is wrong." Like, he's just chugging away. Scene's over, and we're like, "You ready?" We actually did have towels for her, 2 cameras. And so he comes up to her, and it's here on her face, and then he stops. And she goes, "Are you done?" And as soon as she says, "Are you done?" opens her eyes. Again, blood out, right? And it goes in her face and her mouth. Oh! Then he stops. She goes, "Okay." And she goes, "Are you done?" On the second or third time, she jumps up and wails her arms out, and piss goes on my face and my mouth. And I'm like, "Oh God!" I could see why she's so freaked out, dude.
Why she's pissed?
Water. This is. Oh my God! It was horrible. So things like that happen, But
hope you got an extra 50.
Yeah. Rob, I'm gonna reach out to him. Rob, you owe me 50
Yeah, for back pay.
You could argue the pauses. That's 50 per piss, I would say.
That's right. That's right. That's the thing is that just the bum rap that the company got and Rob got. Yeah, Rob was extreme. He was, but who wasn't back then? And
Yeah.
people forget the one thing, like, and I try to bring that up to people when they ask me about him. Back then, this is what, over 20 years ago. He was like in his early 20s, a millionaire, running a huge company. At one point, like, it was a 6 or 8 contract girls, running a successful wrestling company. That's at, like at Suncoast and Sam Goody. When you're that, kids these days who are broke and think they're special because they're on fucking social media, think they're special and they're entitled and they're running around like they're ballers when we all know they live at home with their parents. This dude was running 2 industries. And yeah, of course it's gonna go to his head. And the thing that's messed up is, like, Dark Side of the Ring. You watch that and I watched. That's how Misha actually was introduced to XPW and wrestling. She didn't know shit about wrestling until Dark Side of the Ring. And I'm watching it, and she was asking me a few questions about him. Like, I go, one, I never seen Rob do any drugs except pills or whatever. I never saw him like womanizing with women. I'm sure he did. I don't know. I never saw any of that. And all that rough stuff, every person knew what they were getting into, and down to the wrestlers. And I think it's just easy to villainize somebody without having them speak up. Yeah, it wasn't like, the most moral job I ever had, but it wasn't what people made it out to be. So,
Yeah. That's very interesting that she got into wrestling through Dark Side of the Ring. That's fascinating to me because that's not exactly the most positive.
Yeah, it usually works as a deterrent, but
yeah,
she had an in with you,
I started showing her other documentaries that were more positive, Beyond the Mat, which is not necessarily that positive, but things like that where she just got into it because of the characters, of the people, and that's kind of whereas she was really interested in Rob himself because of his personality, down to, like, she wanted to he doesn't even know this yet. I told Kat last weekend that she wanted to make her son Rob her son's godfather. Not sure if that's gonna happen now, but at one point that was the game plan. And the funny thing is, when actually it's on the YouTube channel, I told her, when you meet him, you have to say it's nice to meet a fellow stroke survivor, because he faked a stroke on his TV show. Years ago, when he was sitting in a wheelchair and he got a catheter and he would, like, spray piss on Angel.
Yeah, that was such good stuff.
It was such good stuff. Down to, like, fans believed he actually had a stroke. That was the best part, is that they did it was a candlelight vigil outside the office, and then they're all standing there, and you could see him walk in the window behind them. I'm like, this dude literally is just, like, trolling everyone before trolling was a thing, and like an innovator of trolling. And so when she met him, she said that, and people don't understand this. He's actually very shy, and he's not like crazy boisterous that you see on the radio or TV. He can be, but he was all like almost got shy. He's like, oh, like, if you go on my YouTube channel, Two Wrestlers One America, it's on there, and you could see him, like, kind of like, oh, he was embarrassed that he did that. So that's how she got in it, and then obviously she was so into it, she wanted being part of a death match and things like that, which was really cool, because that was nobody's, especially like a porn girl that's an active porn girl, would do something like that. So that was really a memorable moment for everybody.
Any chance of her showing back up in XPW?
That's a really good question, because her and I talked about it today, and I don't know. There's a lot that needs to be worked out if that's going to happen, and that a lot of it has to do most likely on her, not anyone else, because I'm a big proponent of her no matter what, and I'm sure everybody and their mother knows what happened. She's worked really hard to get in the position she's at, but when it comes to XPW, you have to respect the locker room, and then if that it comes down to that. And let's be honest, the wrestler that she's aligned with, I don't know if she's aligned with him anymore or not. I really don't pay attention. Oh, here she is.
Montana, I am here. What's up, Misha?
He's not very, very much liked by many of his peers. So that's At one point, I forget what somebody said. Like, maybe he should come to XPW and let Schlack take care of him. I'm like, no, this dude's an actual fighter. that dude would probably kill a lot of people. Maybe not Masada, because Masada would just stab his ass. But
yeah. Well, he did try and pick a fight with Brock, so I don't think that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think that would have gone too well for him.
Yeah.
Probably the one, like, yeah, maybe not. Don't fuck with
Let's go back to Goldberg.
Goldberg, probably. Yeah.
You know, the funny story I want to tell you guys. We're talking about seeing things that you're like, oh, it's too much. This match, this 3-way in Jersey between the JJ Escobar. Like I said, like I was so looking forward to watching this stuff because watching him get hit by cars on YouTube is kind of fantastic. I'm like, how are they going to get a car inside this little arena to run him over, or light him on fire? But he comes out with this weed whacker, and I'm going, this is a real weed whacker, and he's like, and then the fans everywhere. I'm like, I'm stepping back because if this dude trips over something, he's gonna take off a finger, you know. And so during the match, he sticks this fish hook in this guy's mouth, right? And again, like with newer guys, they need to be aware of the camera, you know. So he's like blocking the camera with his back because he's a giant dude. And I'm like, dude, turn around and fish hook him this way so you could see it. I don't want to see it because I'll be grossed out, but I'm like, do that. And then he puts a slide tube in the guy's chest and weed whacks him, right? And we finishing the show, the match. I go up there to take pictures, and I'm taking pictures of somebody, and I hear somebody behind me go, "Hey, do nipples grow back?" And what's going on over here? Nipples grow back, and I'm like, I turn around and go, does somebody have a nipple removed? And he goes, oh yeah, like half my nipple just cut off by the weed whacker. I'm trying to figure out if it's gonna grow back. I'm like, can I take pictures of it? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, you should have told me. I go, you should have, because I already took pictures. And I'm like, you should have told me half your nipples missing. So he's like, pulls the thing aside, and like it's like his areola is like half of it's missing.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So it wasn't flapped over; it was full blown off.
No. It was just it wasn't even off. It was like the areola was ripped off, or like peeled off because of the weed whacker. Because the weed whacker is so funny because it's not a metal thing; it's plastic. So
yeah.
So it kind of like skirts off sometimes. Like JJ Escobar had his shoulder cut bad because of that. They were trying to do he had a flower pot on his head, and he's laying down, and it goes, and it doesn't break. It slides off and hits his arm. Because when I was shooting stills, I'm going, why is he so upset? And he's like, fuck, and he's like holding his arm. And then when watching the footage back from my GoPro, I'm like, oh, it skidded right off the flower pot and just went right for his shoulder. Oh man. And that weed whacker stuff, I don't know, that it's just so close to like eyes and fingers, and you know, I mean, like I guess body can handle it to a point, but
no, we heard how much it sucks. Co-host also Kruger from the wrestling world. He's taken a few of those, and yeah, it stings like a motherfucker. So
from Schlack, actually.
Schlack gave it to him.
Schlack, you know, like I just saw Schlack posted that video with Zandig, and then he's like, I guess they hung him by hooks at some point, so he did a suspension. How does the man that big get suspended by hooks? They had to
a lot of hooks,
a lot of hooks, yeah. Yeah, there's a guy, a tattoo artist on Instagram that we're like Instagram friends or whatever. He was doing a suspension a few years ago and fell and broke his leg, and they had to amputate his leg. And he posted the video. Oh my god! They posted the video, and you hear the bone. I'm like, oh. So I reached out to him because like I almost lost my leg a few years ago. So we kind of had that, you know, and we just talked about like, you know, just kind of like helping each other out through the process of healing. But yeah, the weed whacker stuff. But you know, look, the Japanese dudes, Jun Kasai, the stuff he does, like I don't know if I could watch his matches. It's brutal, you know. I mean, his body just looks like some of these guys in backstage. Like the one show that Alex Colon came, and this is before I knew who he was or how big he was. I'm backstage taking pictures of him, and when he had his tank top on, and I think at one point he might have taken it off, I was shocked by the scars on his back, and I'm like, hey, can I take some pictures of your back? Because I try to light dramatically, because if you put a harsh light on scars like that, they create the shadow, so you could actually see how deep they are or how they protrude out from the skin. And man, these guys, to me, it's cool, you know, because visually it's really the texture of the skin and on the head, and that's why a lot of times the guys with a lot of scars, I like to take pictures up close through a ring light or with some harsh lighting, so you could actually see it. You know, like those lucha guys without the masks, man, their heads are like Abdullah the Butcher. You know, you can really put quarters in there. You know, it's like a little wall. It's like a vagina up there. You could probably have sex with his forehead.
Yeah.
I think your brain is showing. Oh,
Maybe not. Maybe want to be careful with Abdullah.
Like right? Allegedly.
Allegedly, with the forehead. Forehead sex is generally, just double wrap it for the forehead.
Oh, you know, you guys were talking about seeing something like first time I finally saw somebody get crazy glued shut was Hard Body at the first show he wrestled in LA. He had a really bad gash across his back, and backstage they're like, it's so funny because how these wrestlers are. They're like doctors. It's like the movie Spies Like Us when they all like doctor when they're shaking each other's hands when they're going to the tent with all the doctors. That's how the wrestlers are. The guy walks in and is like his meat's hanging out, and every single one's got their opinion on how to fix that. Oh, it's a couple of stitches. Oh, butterfly this. Oh, crazy glue this. And I'm just like, you guys all have like medical degrees and you still do death matches? This is really cool. and then like the one guy like held it shut. The other one crazy glued it and held it until it just got stuck together. And it's pretty amazing to see this stuff. And as a fan growing up, I don't fanboy out because I have to be a peer, because that's what happens in porn when people fanboy out. It creeps out the girls. So I would never want to fanboy out for a wrestler. But it's like, so I keep it in. But it's really, really cool. Like the 3 moments that were very emotional for me while shooting stuff. One was Sage, what I was telling you earlier about, where I literally have to step aside. Like I get emotional now just remembering how freaked out she was because she looked in the mirror and she saw her head. The other one was when Lou Dark became the women's champion. I love Taya, but when Lou Dark won the women's championship, I was giddy. I was like, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. You know, because she is legit XPW. She's got XPW on her mask, you know, and so to me, it was so cool. And backstage, I'm like, congratulations. I'm like, okay, can't fanboy out. Okay, stay right there. Let me take some pictures of you. And then, of course, Kat comes and she goes, and then both are like, we should take our tops off and put our belts on. I'm like, okay, I'll just be over here.
Right. Just their mirror.
Yeah. The lens. And the other one, honestly, it was, she's in here. She'll know when Misha went through the death match. Because leading up to it, we talked about it, and then she would talk to the wrestlers how to take care of herself, and she knew she was, a bunch of shit's going to happen. They wanted more to happen. It was just at the last minute, the match was more ad-lib, and when she got up from the ground, and she was like a bloody mess, because the whole point is like, she's like, I want to be part of this. She dressed in all white, and when she got up and half her face was like drenched in blood, I was like super proud of her, because I'm like going, I don't know if I could do it. And especially somebody whose looks is what pays their bills, and they're willing to go through a match like this and get hit with a light tube. She still has a scar on her head. That's like scar on her head from it. And she gets up, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm trying to be like, because when you're ringside or whatever, you're not supposed to talk to anybody. So I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm like, you look great. This is so cool. Oh my God. She's like, what do I look like? Oh, you look great. All right. And it was insane. And I almost feel bad. I took more pictures of her than everybody else. Because you never
trust
know.
your photography instinct. You made the right call.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, and the fucked up thing is, during that match, the camera guys hardly shot her.
He was bitching about it the whole time.
Dude, 1, get the shot. 2, that's my friend you're leaving hanging. Fucking go get that fucking shot.
Right, 100%. So for my GoPro angle, I actually cut a whole promo that went on Fight TV, because I'm like, she deserves that push, because she went through all this shit. So I cut this thing and I called it it was called like Bloody Extreme Porn Star or something like that, and I sent it in to Tom Byron, who edits the TV show, and he threw it in there. And so at least people get to see that angle of how bloody she was backstage, and pictures and things like that, because it's important, it's kind of like that Lizzie Borden moment where they missed her the table spot in ECW Arena when Vic Grimes powerbombed her off the top rope through a table, and there was no camera to capture that. She wanted to go to the hospital, and there's no. I remember the shitstorm that she caused, rightfully so. That they didn't capture that moment. Like, she literally could have been seriously injured. She was hurt because she went to the hospital. But to miss that moment is fucked up. And so to me, I'm like, that's why when I'm shooting, and you were saying earlier that, you know, you appreciate the fact that I'm down to get in there, is because these people are going to way through more than I will ever go through. So who am I? Like, I'm editing. I have one more set of pictures to edit before I post them from that last show. And some of the imagery is so fucking cool. I already cut, because I do these videos called Extreme Photographer, where it's all my point of view. It's some of my images, and then the GoPro that's either on my head or on my camera. And I post this stuff, and it's angles no one ever sees because it's from my angle. And you see glass. There in their show, there was so much glass that hit me, and there's shots of it. There was at one point there was a pane of glass up against the ropes, and JJ Escobar's got this guy up, and I'm on this side, and I'm behind the glass. I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna fly at me, right? So I'm running, and I'm like tick, 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 taking pictures as I'm running, and he throws a guy, and all this glass just hits me on the head, and you don't realize how thick and how heavy that glass is until it hits you. And it hit me on the head. I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot, you know. And it's actually, when I post the video tomorrow, it's the shots there. And cool. Then with a glass, it's real glass, and it's super thick. I mean, like when Schlack threw that glass and it bounced off Hardcore Hellbilly's head, because it's that thick, it just doesn't break. You really have to put someone through it. So yeah, that was it. When you're there and you see the weapons that they use, yeah, that's insane, and they're willing to do it. Good. The only one that they never used, the first show, California, Misha and I there was a big red disco ball, put thumbtacks on the whole thing, brought it, and every wrestler's like, did you hollow it out? No. Fuck you, then we're not using it. Like, because they're just gonna hit it and they're gonna break their back on it, because because it's a big foam ball inside. You have to hollow it out. I didn't think about that. I'm stupid. I'm like, whatever.
Fucking then hang it up. It's a fucking deathmatch.
Hardcore dodgeball. Just fucking.
Oh, I've actually gotten other people's blood in my mouth. Shout out Fern Owens from videoing wrestling matches. Has that happened to you? Because it's kind of gross, but it comes with the fucking job.
I got in my eye.
Which job are we talking about?
I've gotten jizz on me for sure, you know, and then you're like, oh my god, it tastes so bad, Jesus.
Drink more pineapple juice. You see a doctor.
I mean, I've had guys who are like friends of mine, or I guess they think they're friends of mine. They would put their wiener on my shoulder. They think it's funny. I'm like, that's not funny.
We're not that cool.
Close, buddy.
Yeah.
Get away from me. Well, one time I was shooting Nick Manning, you know, dropping loads, Nick Manning, and he liked to do like up and over. So I'm like literally on the ground. He's got this girl on the table, and so his legs are spread open underneath the table, shooting up like this. And my friend, who's the producer, I'm the camera guy, he's sitting over there, and I look over at him as I'm shooting, and he's like this, trying to keep from laughing. I'm like, what is he laughing at? Then I start feeling his balls were like rubbing on my head. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And my friend's just like sitting there like, oh. If you're homophobic, do not direct porn, because there's going to be all over the place.
You're breathing in the other guy's breath, or girl, like you got to get in there.
It's not the guys, dude. It's the girl.
I'm just breath in general. Well, you said homophobic.
And I'm like, did you just cock breath me? What? Oh my god! So, I'm like, dude, because you know I'm right here, they're right here, and they come up, take a breath. I'm like,
they also got to deal with the dry spit if they split a scene, right? Like now the dicks taste like dried saliva, which is fucking disgusting.
Wait, how do you know?
I watch a lot. I've been to sets. Yeah. I did consider entering that field, not on camera, obviously, but like, behind. I like that shit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
If you
told
dig,
you, I'm ready. I'm set ready, dude. Hit me up.
You know, last show I had 2 different fans make action figures of me.
That's
dope.
awesome. Do they use the gold shoes? Because those shoes are badass, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, one of them made actually my outfit from my Hall of Fame induction award show. It's all gold and yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna put it up on my mantle probably tonight.
That's
It's
bad
all
as
black
fuck.
and bubble wrap.
That's very cool.
Alright. Yeah, speaking of, let's talk about the Hall of Fame for a second. There, were you able to go and make a speech and everything? And
You know, with AVN, it's so interesting. It's like it's the most prestigious one, but they treat the AVN Hall of Famers as kind of like, here you go.
No,
We didn't even get our
no.
trophies that night. We had to go back to LA to get them. They
Really?
they put your name on the big screen. I mean, like the thing with AVN, it's the Oscars. It really is.
Yeah.
Like all the award shows together don't add up to AVN's spectacle, because especially this year was at the Resorts World, and Resorts World is like, I'm going the wrong way. See, I'm backwards.
first year back in person.
First
Yeah,
year back in person, and at this place, holy shit! Like they have a globe in the middle of it that's probably 100 feet tall. It's 100 feet wide, and it's a video screen. And they just play videos on it. And at some point, they put a big smiley face on it that's staring at you. And you're like, "What the hell is this?" You know, so spectacle wise, it's cool. Going to AVNs. I mean, I've been in business for 21 years, so I don't know, like 17 of them, I guess. As a director and walking the red carpet, probably 15. And the best part about it is walking through the fans, because it's like a mile-long walk, and there's fans. This year, they weren't on both sides; they were just on one side. But they all want to take pictures with you, and if you're like, I was dressed crazy, so all of them, they're like, "I want to take a picture with you," and you know, and a few years ago, there were Russian women there, and they saw I was wearing Russian shit, and they were like flirting with me in Russian. I'm like, wait a minute. So it's really cool, you know. The show's obviously a big thing because it's on Showtime. And so it was really, really honorable. You know, I felt like you know, all the years of working really hard, it was finally it happened, and I was really happy because I'm glad it didn't happen the previous 2 years, because it wasn't live.
Yeah.
It's a lot better live, because then you can just dress up and have a good time. And then the people that came up to me that are veterans in the industry and congratulated me, that meant a lot. That meant more than anything. You know, when you have directors who are giant directors, you know, directing $100,000 movies and things like that, coming up to you that I've never worked with. And they all know that I'm the guy who dresses this way. I'm the guy that does whatever I do. And that to me means a lot, you know, the veterans. And there's so many veterans that recently, Ariana Jolie, I don't know if you guys remember Ariana Jolie from back in the day. She's back.
I did not know
nice.
that. That's cool.
Yeah, Ginger Lynn was around, and Christy Canyon, and so like all these old school people. And so it's really, really, it makes you feel like you're just not doing this for the hell of it. It gives you validation. You know, like when you're walking on the expo and fans are coming up to you. When I used to direct for Anabolic Extreme, I had a huge fan base because they were high profile companies.
Yeah.
And they would come up to you like, "I don't want to bother you, Ivan. I just want to talk to you or take a picture." I'm like, "You're not bothering me, dude. I'll hang out with you. Like, I feel honored that you want to talk to me. I know you jerk off to my movies, whatever. But you know, I'm honored that you want to talk to me." So it was a great experience. To go there, you're just kind of like, "Oh God, I don't want to go and walk around." But then when you get there,
You feel the energy in the room.
and you know, like, and there were a handful of brand new directors that came up to me. There was one. It was so interesting. I've never even heard of something like. Well, I know it exists, but she shoots trans men, not trans women. So it's women that transition into men, and she runs up to me and hugs me, and I'm like, "Hello," and she goes, "You're my inspiration." I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I've watched your stuff for years, and I was a performer years ago, and all I wanted to do was do what you do." And she goes, "And now I'm strictly a director. I learned photography and camera work." And I was so flattered. I was like, "Don't leave me alone. I want to talk to you." And you know, and so we're going to collaborate. She's going to reach out to me, and I'm like, "Look, I've never shot anything like that, but I'm so down to shoot." And so you get a lot of that, especially when you're in this industry so long and you have a reputation of like, this is what you do. You do good shit. You know, you everybody likes you or whatever it may be. And I've always said I'm in the industry not to fuck the girls or fuck the girls over. So my whole thing was always be like, I didn't get in to get laid. I didn't get it into screw anyone over. I didn't work for the biggest companies. In fact, I turned down all the major companies, Wicked, Brazzers, Bang Bros, because those are very corporate, and it's hard for me to work for corporate. I'd rather, not necessarily live paycheck to paycheck, but I'd rather die broke but happy with my creativity than die with a bunch of money in my pocket hating my job. And that's why with Alterotic, we have the ultimate freedom to do whatever we want. This is why we talked about possibly bringing back Texas Asshole Massacre. So things like that, like for me to have my creative control and freedom is why I get inducted into Hall of Fame or get awards. And now I'm in 2 Hall of Fames, which is like, so now it's funny because one of the wrestling fans at the convention, like, like two-time Hall of Fame. Like, that's right. I started posting that two-time. And my friends who are not into wrestling, they're like, dude, you're being way too egotistical. I'm like, you don't understand. This is wrestling.
This is a big fucking deal. No, I'll back you up. Dying Breed in the chat says, dude, Madison Morgan is fire as fuck. I happen to agree. I hope she likes wrestling. She should come out to the show. And then Munch says, what does AVN mean? LOL.
Oh, he knows.
Video news. It means adult video news.
America's vengeance is near.
I went to the... I've been to the expo, I think 7 times, and it's just amazing when you first walk in there. I always.
Now, when did you go? How many years ago did you go?
The first 3 or 4 were in the 90s, I believe. Then last time, like 98, 99.
Jesus.
You went.
There's how you weren't 18.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm not gonna incriminate you.
No, I think I could be getting wrong, but a long time ago.
What was your last one, Dan?
Last one was 2014. I do remember that.
Well, it's changed now because it's a lot smaller. Most the booths are small and it's agencies and girls and like webcam companies. Back then. Man, it was when it was CES and it was at the Venetian, the Sands Expo. Oh my God, 100,000 people are going through it. You're walking shoulder to shoulder, And one year when I was still with Extreme, it was so packed. You can't walk. You're standing there. We see Mike Tyson walking with his entourage towards us, from booth to booth to booth to booth. Right. So he comes in our booth, takes pictures with all the girls, and leaves. Every girl comes up to him. She goes, when we took a picture with him, hugged him, he goosed us. Whoop. Like, if you could have goosed me, and I'd be like, that's fine.
Yeah, it's Tyson. You can do whatever you want, dude. Just please don't hurt me.
You're gonna do it anyways.
I'm sure you probably ran into Paulie Shore. I saw him at least a couple times. Dennis Rodman, I think has been there. There's some big stars.
I got to go on for you. So I got in a fight with Robin Leach one year.
Really?
Oh wow.
He's dead, and fuck him.
All right.
The crazy thing is, every year I would tweet "Rest in peace, Robin Leach," and he wasn't dead because I thought it was funny to post that. And then he fucking died, and I said, "Fuck him." The guy was such a prick. So I'm at the red carpet and I'm dressed. I was with Nikki Sexx, and back then that's when it was like huge. You're walking through thousands of fans and all this shit. So I would dress really kind of like I still do. And Nikki and I are walking. She takes her underwear off and throws into the fucking crowd. We're having a good time. I'm dressed like a crazy person. Robin Leach on the red carpet, old bastard. First of all, it's not his field. So what does he do? He interviews rich people. That's a skill. So he comes up to me and goes, "Thanks for dressing up." And I go, "Thanks for coming to our award show." Right. So leave it at that. He does his red carpet. I walk behind him, and then I see him hitting on some 18, 19-year-old girl. Later, I found out that was his little game. He would show up and just hit on a bunch of chicks. So I'm like, I'm going to cock block this dude. So I start walking up and like, "Hey, Robin, how's it going?" I'm waving at him, and I'm recording him hitting on this 18, 19-year-old girl. And he's like, all pissed off. And shit you not, we walk down. It was Nikki Sexx, myself. I think it was Jesse, our music guy, and Jaden James. We're all walking down. Yeah, it was all of us. And we're walking down, and we're sitting right in front of Robin Leach. So he's in there, and he looks back, and he sees us walking, and he goes like this. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Oh, the selfies. I have probably a dozen selfies of me like this and Robin Leach like this.
Yeah, rotten shit.
Rotten shit. You know, and when I would post about him, I would spell Leach like it was like he's a leech. That guy. Just because you die doesn't make you a good person still. Fuck him.
You know what? Yeah, thank you. Because once everybody dies, everyone turns around. It's like, oh, they're not bad. Sometimes they were.
Yeah, exactly. Hitler died. Good thing. You know. Marilyn Manson. What's the name? Died. Fucking. What's it? Charlie Manson.
Oh yeah. That guy.
That guy.
All the Mansons.
Actually, one of their followers.
I still remember going with my brother one of the last times I went. He was just kind of shell shocked. And the Evil Angel booth, I believe it was like tarped off, so you couldn't see directly in it. And he was like, I wonder why that's. And we go in, and there's like a milk enema, like on a big screen, and there's an old lady. I mean, not old, but an old lady who's like, "Hi guys, how are you doing?" And like we're having this conversation with like milk shooting into this girl's mouth from another girl's ass. And my brother's like, "This is the weirdest thing I've ever done."
Wait.
In my life.
So that's weirder than the time you were at the convention and the porn star's son had to go.
The Elizabeth Starr one.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I love this story. Tell them the story.
Yeah, Elizabeth Starr, who I believe is also an AVN Hall of Famer. I was at her booth, and I happened to be looking. It was probably the most raunchy porn that she had at her booth. And I just, casually kind of looking at the back. And she's like, "Oh, we have the other volumes there." And it's like, "Is there any you need?" And I told her, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I think I need 9 or whatever it was."
Yeah, the other 48.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's her son is there. I didn't realize it was her son. And then she's just like, "Do you have Lady Ass Lickers 9 anywhere here?" And I was just like, and then I realized like it's her son, and she sent him out to their car to get it and bring it back to me.
It's the business.
Yeah.
I used to shoot a girl. Her mom collected all her box covers, so there you go.
Oh wow.
Proud mama.
That's awesome.
Hey, it happens. Well, like at AVN, at least back then, you were not allowed to drink at the booth. So every big company had a hidden room, which was for whatever, like Extreme. The first year I was there, we had a room that had a door, so you could go in there, drink whatever people wanted to do in there. And the funny thing is, this is when we did a movie called Go Fuck Yourself, where it was like a really rough movie. And Rob bought this is how how long ago it was. He bought a plasma screen that was like super heavy. You had to like re-rig it. And gosh, this was what, 2002, 2003, something like that, 2004 maybe. So a long time, almost 20 years ago. And so we couldn't show hardcore stuff on it. But Rob's like, cut something really dramatic of this Go Fuck Yourself. So I cut this black and white a teaser of the girls getting slapped around and all that kind of stuff. And this is when nobody was shooting stuff like that. And we put it on the screen and left it there all day on a loop. I wish we recorded the reaction.
Get a GoPro, yeah.
Damn. Because the people are walking and they're like, and they stop and watch, and the guys are like, "Whoa," and the women are like, and because these girls, a lot of them were crying, not necessarily for real, but they were, it was traumatic scenes.
They were good actresses.
Yeah, very good actors, great acting, and but I wish we set up a camera to get people's reactions, because man, some people are so pissed watching this. Yeah, it was back then. It was a free for all. It was insane. I mean, how big it was and how expensive the booths were. Just to get Red Light had a two-story house. At one point, Naughty America had a house in their booth. But that money was great back then. Now it's just like little agency booths, and girls get their own booths as well. So it's a little different when you used to go there, for sure.
Yeah. I've heard it's changed a lot. I mean, Ron Jeremy was still allowed there the last time I was there.
Ron Jeremy was still me tooing people before.
He wasn't outed yet.
Yeah.
Did you go to XBiz as well, or 3
Yes.
Expo, whatever it's called?
I went to the expo. I went to the XBiz Expo the last night, just kind of like to meet everybody from the company, and then I went to the X3. I didn't go to the award show. I went to the X3, the expo, and it was great. You know, like that's the thing is like when you go to these things, the people you meet, and the peers in your industry that. It's so flattering when people are like, I love your work. I want to work with you. There was a girl that was in our booth for signing for another company. We had a big booth that was a company that owns Alterotic and a few other production companies, and heavily tattooed, like black and green hair, and she's like pointing towards me and going like that, and I'm like, there's no way she's pointing at me, right? So I'm like looking around, and she's like, no, you. So I walk over there, and she goes, I fucking love your work. I want to work with you. And to me, things like that is why like I do what I do, because she's like, I want to shoot cool shit. I do horror movies. I do body painting. I do special effects, and we need to collaborate and work together. And like her boyfriend does like green screen stuff, and some of the green screen stuff they shoot is fantastic. So I was like, let's go. And and so I met probably a dozen models there that love my work, especially like alt models, because they kind of get marginalized in the industry. They don't shoot a lot. So
Yeah.
I majority deal with alt models, and when they see somebody who's not just shooting garbage, they're shooting really creative stuff. And like with our company, with Alterotic, man, we're like the only company that gets all these nominations for alt models. I mean, we have so many alt models that got their first AVN nominations, because most companies that shoot alt models are not companies that are shooting that kind of quality work. Misha's showcase last year got it had was it 10 award nominations across every award show. It was nominated for best showcase because of what we did with it, and her scenes and the fact she had a stroke, and then
was that the one with the heart monitor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Because day after a stroke, I came out there and shot the whole thing. Me at the airport. The joke was that my my one hall pass is Brad Pitt, so I dressed up as Brad Pitt from Troy. I had the helmet, and I walked through the hospital with this helmet, with flowers, and I'm rolling camera the whole time, and people are looking at me like, what's wrong with this guy? And that's all on the DVD. Obviously, we can't show the people, but
Yeah. I'm just here for a Make-A-Wish. Leave me alone.
Yes, it is Brad Pitt. It is me. And then I walk in, and she's all, and to me, it was just like it was a whole point of making her feel better and making her happy because she almost died. She choked for 2 hours while having a stroke. So that stuff is in the movie, and we made it very personal. It took us 400 days to put the movie together. There's an interview with her a week after her stroke where her face is drooped. I went out there for during her stroke because of COVID. They were allowed only one person per day. So I came that one day. I flew back so then her family could see her the other days. And then when she went home, I flew out, and then we got a hotel room and we shot this amazingly emotional interview because, like I said, her face is still drooped. Her voice is still not the same. And the stuff that we shot in there, like at one point I go, look, let's talk about your son, Bodhi. We might not ever use it, but let's shoot it because this is a moment to have. Sometimes when you leave something and you go, God, I wish I would have got that. And I'm like, we should shoot this just to have. And we shot it. And that was the most emotional part for her, obviously, because she was like, if I want to die, I want to die home with my son, because, she's a loving mom and it's her and her son, basically. So when we shot this thing, it was amazingly emotional. And then when I was editing the movie towards the end of finishing the edit, she calls me up and she goes, I want to use that footage. I go, what footage? She goes, I want the world to know I have a son, because nobody knew.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the movie starts off. Yes, it's a spank movie, so I don't know. It might be a boner killer, but something. It was a human piece, and that was the whole point of doing a movie like that. And no other company would ever do anything like that ever. One, to get in that situation. Two, allow a human piece like this. And with us, Sasha, who used to own the company back then, it was just like, do whatever you want. And that was the beautiful part, is that we could. And since we were together, we could do a project like this where I could travel to her, she could travel to me. 400 days to put this movie together, and so it was nominated across the board because when you have a director who cares more about the quality of the work rather than the paycheck or getting laid by the girl, then you could put together something that's so memorable. And in this movie, to me, forever, it's going to be the best showcase ever done, the most human showcase ever done in the industry. In fact, funny thing is, today the poster arrived. I made a new poster with a award leaf on it, so I could start putting up on the walls, and it just arrived today from Vistaprint. But so we could do stuff like that, and that's the beautiful part about being your own boss. Doing weird stuff like Hoe Hunters, So look at this badge. This is for Hoe Hunters. Look, so it's
That's awesome.
So like this is the part one that's clean, so there's no nudity on there. But we're gonna do part two, and I can because I'm my own boss in many ways, and as long as we have content for the website, which is the most important thing, we can do whatever we want. And so that's the beauty of where we're at Alterotic, is that we get the freedom, and the alt models want to shoot with us because of it. So they see the stuff, they're like, I want to be part of it. Well, let's go. Let's shoot some fun, weird shit. And having a trauma background, I get to shoot really weird.
Yeah.
Wait, pause. You have a trauma background also?
Yeah, our Broadside Killer movies are
okay. I know
are on Trauma now. So my filmmaking partner would do short horror films. They're called Roadside Killer. So basically, it's a roadside worker who wears a diaper and a gas mask because he has a bladder issue, so he has to wear a diaper. But he hates the smell of his own piss, so he has to wear a gas mask. So the whole point is, he's always pissed off. So anybody asks him for help when he's doing roadside work, he kills them. So we did two. We started working on the third one. We have one, Roadside Killer 1. Roadside Killer 2 was an homage to Black Christmas.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is, the weekend we were shooting it was Bob Clark. Bob Clark was directed Black Christmas. Him and his son died that weekend. The weekend we were shooting the homage to Black Christmas, he died in a car accident because they were hit by a drunk driver. Just the irony of the whole thing of how it wound up happening. We literally were doing an homage. It was called Roadside Killer Part 2, Black Christmas. We created the scene with a bag, but we did bubble wrap. And they're like schlocky, super trauma-ish. The character's super trauma-ish. In the first movie, we wrapped the girl completely in bubble wrap, and he sawed her in half. We did a scene where he's pulling her guts out, and we're poor, so we used actual real guts because real guts are cheaper than fake guts.
They are.
With real guts, flies and stench.
Don't leave them out in the sun.
Oh yeah, and we were shooting in the forest, so we're like, if we leave them out, bear's gonna show up. Can't do that, so we had to leave them in the cabin with us. So when I worked on the X show, Lloyd Kaufman would come to the show and do his exploding head gags. So I knew him from there. And then one year at AVN Red Carpet, I'm dressed as a Lucha Libre guy because where's my Lucha mask? Here it is. Here's my Lucha mask that I wore to the red carpet, and it's got my logo on the back. It's got my hammer on the side. So I wore this thing, and I'm on the red carpet dressed like a lucha guy. I have a championship belt that I had custom made and said AVN World Champion Director because the previous year I won Best Web Director at AVN. So I'm walking this red carpet, and I see Sergeant Kabuki Man at the end of the red carpet interviewing people. I'm like, Sergeant Kabuki Man's here? What the F is happening, right? And he looks at me, points at me, and he goes, come here. I'm like, no. Man, no. If Toxic Avenger comes out, I'm getting on my knees and yes, I will get it in my eye this time.
Yeah.
And
I could be a blind girl.
He leans to me and goes, I'm a big fan of your work. I'm like, what? Sergeant Kabuki Man? He's a big fan of my work. So he interviewed me, and he's all like, and the funny thing is, he goes, if you're a wrestler, what theme song would you come out to? And I go, It's Raining Men. And then we all sang It's Raining Men on the red carpet. And so I have a little bit of a trauma thing. And then a few years later, he hooked me up with having our Roadside Killer movies on Trauma Now. Obviously, there's no money. Who cares? I don't care.
Everyone knows that with Trauma.
It doesn't matter. I go to, whenever Trauma comes into town to do their screenings, I go to them. They're wonderful. Lloyd Kaufman is wonderful, wonderful man.
Yeah.
They are weird. They're willing to show full frontal nudity on big fat guys, which is like, okay, you know, I don't know if I want to watch it on the big screen. It is what it is. It's fun to watch. They don't take themselves seriously, and
you've got to talk them into This Ain't Toxic Avenger Triple X. That's got
Holy shit!
I just released.
I am volunteering to play the mayor right now.
You can actually cornhole the blind girl in that version.
You know, actually, what they want me to do is they want me to cut my porn schlocky movies, cut out the sex. I could leave the nudity in it and give them the non-sex versions because the storylines are so weird. So I just haven't had time to do that. But there's a handful of movies that I could put together that I could give them that they would love. Like I did, like Viking Girls Gone Horny, Carjackers, all the stuff like Hole Hunters, things like that. They would love. Obviously, there's no gore in them because in porn you can't have blood and gore like that. So, but they're schlocky and fun still. So at some point, I want to. What?
I'm throwing it out. You can make 2 cuts now. You can eye it out for so you can have blood. They cut it
100%.
out.
You know, and that's a good point because then if we shoot something with blood, we just keep it out of the porno and just keep it into the trauma version. And but yeah, I love trauma. I grew up on trauma, the Toxic Avenger movies, and then Nukem High, and especially the new Nukem High, which is beyond weird with a duck. That insane duck that rapes the girl, and the girl has a crazy baby, and I'm actually at the Shitstorm movie.
Shakespeare.
I'm an extra in it. I'm a fucking extra.
Really?
In it. That's my life. Yeah. So
that was my 2021 best movie of the year.
I haven't even seen it yet. So I didn't know if I made it. I know they shot me, but I don't know if I made the cut.
Was it the party boat scene?
No, we were at the expo and they needed a shot of a bunch of people watching a monitor or something. So they got each also going, oh, things like that. So I wish it was more, but that's all it is.
I'm
so
trying to search my memory. I don't remember.
Hey man, you're in the trauma movie. That's all good.
Our movies are on trauma now, and I'm in the trauma movie. I could die happy.
It's funny the trauma connection because I actually have one with XPW because like at that time, right around that era when the first run of XPW TV was happening, the Trauma's Edge TV stuff was happening, and they were both just so subversive and awesome and didn't give a shit.
Right,
like those two are always connected in my head, and I got excited when he brought up Trauma. It always happens.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of like working with Rob is that it's like working for Trauma is that anything goes. You could do whatever you want. I mean, like the stuff with XPW, I just came up with the idea. I was DMing. I don't have her number. Damn it, Lindsay Snow. But she's like the coolest, hottest wrestler of all time. Because she's just so nice too, and she plays up to the camera. And I was sending her pictures. I sent like the wrestlers, I'll send them pictures so they could post and promote the company and things like that. And I came up with a cool thing I don't want to give it away, but it's going to be something really cool we're going to shoot with her because she's so about the whole performance of it and the entertainment of it. At the Jersey show, in fact, when I post the video tomorrow from my experience from the Jersey show, I had to put that in there because I remember when it happened, I'm going, I hope my GoPro's rolling. This is the moment because I'm shooting and she's got Blue Dark Shaitan against this chair. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my camera ready and all I hear, Slava! Slava! I'm like, are angels singing my name? Oh, no, it's Lindsay Snow screaming my name. And I'm like, looking at him like, what is she screaming? And then I forget, oh, I'm a photographer. She's not screaming my name just to scream my name. Get back to work. And she starts stabbing her in the head. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the biggest wet dream for a XPW Trauma fan. Like this hot wrestler chick stabbing another hot wrestler chick in the head, and then she like pulls one out with her teeth and cross towards the camera. I'm like, dude, I'm a teenager once again. This is
the women's roster's been killing it in XPW. I mean, wow, Ludark every show.
Ludark is so amazing. The first time I saw was California. There's this cute girl walking around, a tiny little girl, and I'm like, hi, and then girl puts on a mask, walks out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's her! Holy shit! Because I didn't know who she was, and she's wonderful. I mean, and what a wrestler! And the brutality she goes through. I mean, her, Sage, Lindsay Snow, Oh, those three alone. Well, you know, Kat Martini is the TV champ, so or whatever.
Don't forget the chip. Yeah.
Yeah, she did beat Biggie Biggs or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. But yeah, the women's roster. Who else is there? There's Lindsay that are like regulars. Jody Thread comes in once in a while.
Sawyer Rex.
Sawyer Rex. You know,
Mickey Knuckles.
Mickey Knuckles. Mickey Knuckles is an interesting. She's the only girl I was comfortable enough going, you know, okay, when you're posing, push your ass out a little bit more because like
She's one of the dudes.
I have to stop being the porn director photographer and be a wrestling guy. So like, trust me, like there've been times where like I'm taking pictures of Ty Valkyrie and I'm like, if I fucking slip up and say push your ass out a little bit, she's gonna beat the hell out of me. Like, okay, calm down. I'm not a porn photographer right now. I'm a wrestling photographer.
Yeah, that must be hard to switch
Instincts,
the two.
yeah.
Except Mickey Knuckles. Mickey Knuckles is like, do you want my ass more out? I'm like, oh my. She goes, you want me to spread the cheeks? I'm like, what is happening? At one point,
Mickey's fun.
She goes, I would show you my ass, but I have a thumbtack in it. I'm like, oh my God, okay. TMI. Yeah, you know, Sawyer Rack. What a fucking what a woman. That one,
she's money.
Yeah, she's everything about her, you know, like, and she legit could wrestle men because she's bigger than most men. Tall wise, height wise. It's a great roster of women because, like, you could look at them and then honestly look at AEW roster and like half the time you watch them going like someone's gonna break an arm or a leg, you know, or be paralyzed. And then these women in XPW, it's like, dude, and they're all like butcher each other up. I mean, Camille Brickhouse, that woman in person, you're just like, holy mother of God. Misha and I would have this joke that I had this like big crush on Camille. I don't. I think I have a more crush on her husband who wrestled at Jersey because he's so fucking nice and polite. I'm like, God, these British dudes, they're all so polite and nice. And this guy's giant. Latimer? Oh, my Lord. Yeah. And he was so kind. Like, after the show comes up to me, thank you so much. It was great meeting you. And then DMs me on Instagram. I'm like, yo, you got a hot wife. Slow your Chill out.
Have you had an awkward moment yet with somebody in the wrestling industry maybe coming up to you and saying, like, I think I'd be great in porn? Has that happened to you yet?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about his name. He's
I figure you won't name him.
There's a few guys that ask about porn. Willie Mack, actually, the last LA show, him and I were talking, and he goes, man, take my number down. He goes, I didn't realize you were that cool. I'm like,
he just wants to overflow. That's cool too, though.
All right, here you go. But he never asked about porn really. He did a little bit. Like there was the last LA show where we all sat in the trailer, and there was a lot of porn questions. But there's female wrestlers there. And I'm like, I don't know if I could talk about certain things, you know. But wrestlers are not like woke fucking little babies, you know. So you could basically say whatever you want. They do way more than porn people do. You know what I mean? Like if you know, you guys know it. It's a whole different vibe. But there's a few wrestlers that not necessarily said they want to be in it, but they have a lot of questions. And I mean, wrestlers, you hear stories, you know, I mean, like all the time, like before I even was doing this stuff, I had a friend who was doing stuff with WWE, and the stories he would tell me about the dudes, you know, and I mean, again, douchebags. Let's be realistic. Not the XPW guys, but majority of those guys are douchebags. You know, we have to have too many muscles. I don't know how much is left here. You know? But XPW guys have all been very polite, even when they ask questions about pornography. but if you do, none of the women really ask, because you know, I don't know. But the men for sure. Yeah, there's a handful of men. I just don't want to give their names out in case, you know.
Yeah, good call.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't want to go back and cut it out.
They even have their favorite names. So they're like, what about this one? What about this one? Like, oh.
Well, you can give out their porn names.
Well, there's Jasmine St. Clair, who's, you know.
Yeah.
There's Jasmine.
We got a couple questions from GXH here. Pugs, you want to read
And in the
first
world,
one?
got a bunch of questions. But ask him what he thinks about February 18th so far. Tag team deathmatch, Hardbody versus Big Joe, Drake versus Elon Nixon. I'm done. Good day. He also had a question about porno grind, which is and bands, but
a dog doesn't like porno grind either. No, porno grind, okay?
Well, Let's start with that. What do you think about the February? We only have the 2 matches announced.
You know, I'm so fucking looking forward to this because one, every month, this is my escape from reality, and I get to do something that's so different from everything I do in my regular life. I'm looking forward to it because Rob's wanted to do Miss Extreme contest forever, and I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe because it's Valentine's Day, or close to
Makes
Valentine's
sense.
Day. This is something that they talked about a few weeks ago, and he brought up to me in Jersey about doing it. I heard rumors about it, but it wasn't sure because we were supposed to do one months ago, and it's hard just lining up people, you know. And so he gave me the task of asking a handful of people, you know, come and do this. The issue is, you know, if you ask somebody who's, let's say, woke or whatever, they might not like XPW because of some of XPW's storylines or the death matches and things like that. So you have to be careful who you ask. You have to ask your friends. So I'm asking people that I know, and I'm giving them a background of what this is. No one's gonna get naked. No one's gonna get hit with a light tube. It's literally come in the ring, shake your tits, and you're welcome to go. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how many people I could line up. Rob's like, you got to get less tattooed girls. I don't know any non-tattooed girls. I'm the world of tattooed models. So he might have to go to, like, you know, Backpage or something and pick up a couple.
I thought this was for extreme. These tattoos are extreme, Rob. What the fuck?
Well, Oscar's tattooed, for God's sakes, you know. I saw that he was asking about the body match versus Big F and Joe. I'm actually worried for Body because he gets thrown into like these matches with like Necro Butcher, and now with Lucky 13 was okay. I mean, like, he got stabbed with a bunch of needles, but that's fine. Big F and Joe is no joke. And he's big. He's effing big. That dude is giant.
A Toxic Avenger tattoo.
Yes, he does. He has the Toxic Avenger tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
have you noticed that?
No.
Yeah, on one of his calves, he has the Toxie. The logo.
Does he really? I look at his eyes, by the way. I'm a professional.
He was in the ring. I locked eyes.
I look at his package. Well, once in a while, I look at his package. I'm like, I wonder if he's got a lot. He's always making small dick jokes, so I don't know. But I think that he's going to kill Body. And my feeling is that Body is going for being Deathmatch Wrestler of the Year, so he's trying to step up the brutality of what he's going to go through. I worry for him because he's a small guy and he's very nice. You know, like when you sit and talk to him or DMs me, and he's really cool. I mean, he's weird and creepy. You know, I mean, that dude is like God. He's legit like that. It's not a show. You know, I remember first Jersey show. I'm upstairs. I go upstairs to see if there's anything left, and he's just walking around with a phone. He goes, "Don't worry, just a skinny guy trying to buy some cocaine. Don't worry about it." So he's like that, you know. And the funny thing is, like, because my birthday is March 23rd, and the next Jersey show is March 25th, so I'm like, I'm gonna celebrate it there. And Rob's like, Body will give you a blowjob for your birthday. I'm like, Body, but. I don't know, you know. You know what I say now? Over 50, it's not gay. It's just a bucket list, right? So
gotta find out sometime, I guess.
Our Body, for God's sakes, you know.
Close enough.
I think that match is going to be. Oh God, it worries me when you see stuff like that, just because he doesn't have a limit, and Joe doesn't have a limit, and Joe is probably 150 pounds heavier than he is, and so. Him just landing on him, it's going to be brutal. So I am looking forward to it, but I just worry. What's the other match that's announced? It's
Drake versus Elon Nixon.
I have no idea who the guy is, but according to Rob, I was listening to his show last night. The guy's very handsome. That's all Rob kept saying. Like, all
for
the
now,
their knees, they're going to be soft at their knees. You know, their knees are going to buckle when he comes out. I'm like. My knees buckled when Latimer came out, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how much hotter that guy's going to be. I'm not even gay. Latimer and him come out. Oh, my God, it's back to this. La, 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 la. What the hell's happening here? So I guess he's a deathmatch guy. I had to go Google him, but I couldn't find hardly anything on this guy.
He's a UK guy, right?
Yeah. This match in the States.
Yeah, so, I'm unfamiliar with him.
Yeah, I have no idea what this dude's like. The tag team match, man, that main event at Jersey, the Maximum Bleeding, they stopped it early because of his bleeding. I mean, like as you saw, there's panes of glass that were left over, and
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Necro. By the time he got back in the ring from ringside, he was pouring blood out of his head.
Yeah.
He when that glass was thrown at him,
Fuck, that was scary. We were all like,
yeah, that was because also the crowd's there, everybody's there, and so that was just them two, and these two guys. It was like a legit fight because you hear the punches, you hear everything, you know, and so now having Masada and Schlack and their defense, so they were a tag team called Faces of Death somewhere. Is that the deal?
Yes.
So now Necro, who doesn't have paint, has insane pain tolerance. I really do hope it's Zandig. God, I hope it's Zandig.
Me too.
It would just make it fucking look. What the hell? I don't know. I
have a strong feeling it is, but I don't know.
Just because Schlack posted a vignette with him.
Yeah.
And there's a close up of Zandig looking at Schlack, cut to Schlack, and going, as a producer, editor, they both didn't stand there. And they were like, okay, well, I hate you for real. I hate you for real.
Zandig did mention XPW too. He's like,
did he really?
I forgot exactly what he said. Like XPW bullshit, XPW shit. Like you can't hear his words, but you see him mouth XPW. I was like, it's happening.
God, man, I hope so because if he joins MAGA,
he should.
Are you kidding me?
And then get a Drake.
I'll join MAGA if Zandig joins MAGA. I'm just saying, I'm not in MAGA. You know, I do have white. The funny thing is, I have red, white, and blue overalls, American flag overalls. I was going to wear two on the shows, and then Necro walks out, and I'm like, oh shit, we could have been like brothers. Yeah, that one. That's going to be a massacre. The bloodshed. There's going to be maximum bleeding times 2 because
they need more fucking cameramen. You might want to throw this out there to begin with that are willing to go because there's gonna split up. It's gonna be fucking nuts.
You know the problem? Let me tell you. The problem is these fucking cameramen are tied down with cables. They're not wireless. So
you know what? Fuck that. I would find a way.
And what happens is like sometimes the cable gets tangled in my feet, the wrestler's feet, and they can only go so far. The first Jersey show, they only had one camera guy. They had one camera guy in a hard there that just sat there. And I'm just going like, how is this guy going to get all this action? And how is he not going to pass out halfway through the show? You know, I mean, that's
sorry,
a lot of work.
I just did that recently.
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, especially you're not just shooting a regular match, you're shooting death matches. So you're dodging bullets, you're dodging everything, you know. And
I did a 6-man tag to 3 fucking teams. That sucked.
Oh, no, that's a lot. Yeah, that's that because look, there's only one photographer for me, you know, and two video camera guys. So there's luckily everybody has their own cell phone, so their stuff goes up way before everybody. And they posted that night. But yeah, the tag team. God, man, if it's Zandig, it would be great, amazing. I don't know who else he would bring in that would be that high profile, and especially they're showing these cool videos now. And
let's see if they end up on TV.
Yeah. And Rob kayfabes everything. This dude is like so about storylines and kayfabing, which is awesome because he's like an old school promoter and booker that he believes. I shit you not. Jersey Show. The wrestlers could not leave together because the fans were. He's like, no, you motherfuckers are staying here till the last fan leaves. They're like, I want to go. But that's how it should be. That's the whole point. You're telling stories. The stories shouldn't just stop. You know, his big things like, you know, you watch like a GCW match and then after the show, they're all fucking taking pictures together at the bowling alley. Where's the storyline? Where's like, I hate you. It's not. It's like literally dudes just butchering each other for the sake of butchering each other. But there should be a reason to do it. You know, that's why good movies with stories doesn't matter if the acting necessarily is great or the horror aspect is great. If you feel for the character, that's what matters. And in wrestling, the characters tell the story. So if you're not just watching a bunch of fat dudes with beards, us hit each other in the head with fucking light tubes, we're just like Matt Tremont and everybody else who does the same shit. Like I watched the GCW match, I couldn't figure out which one was Matt Tremont. They were both big fat guys. And they're like, oh, he's the one with the big knot on his head. You know, and their matches are great. I'm not knocking their matches, but they all look similar. And if there's not a storyline to go along with it, you're just like, all right, okay, you know, it's cool, it's gross, and it's, you know, entertaining, but
It's a stunt show.
There's no investment. Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
stunt show. With XPW, almost every match has some sort of a storyline. And then that's the part. That's why the TV show is so great, because I don't know if any other indie has TV shows on the regular every week. I wish I was
Well,
more.
UEW did.
I did the UEW TV show for almost 5 seasons, way over 200 episodes weekly.
It's a lot. It's
It
so
is.
much work, and especially doing it weekly, and coming up with storylines and making sure people show up, because I'm sure people are not getting paid. They're coming in because they want to do it. They love it. But then if something else comes up, they're not going to show up because it's necessarily not a paycheck. So it's tough. But with Rob, if he was in LA, it would be a lot easier, obviously, because he would have access to more things. This is why I shot so much stuff with Misha, because I'm like, let's just fill your show with, at least with her, for a while, every TV episode had a little skit with her,
And they were great.
Yep.
Like the whole Baywatch shit, man. I remember coming up with them like, let's get to a Baywatch thing, and she had a Baywatch outfit. We went to the beach, we shot some really, really cool stuff. And that's memorable. It's going to be memorable forever, and that's why, like, now I'm trying to do it more with other people, like Dirty Ron, we had ideas with, but then, all the stuff happened with Dirty Ron. And he's local, so it would have been great to shoot stuff with him. So the TV show is what creates these storylines, so you can actually, like, if there was no TV show, there wouldn't be Danny at the insurrection,
Right.
That was the whole point, is there's Danny, at the Capitol. And so I think that's where XPW stands out amongst others, just because on the high level, because Rob never does anything at like a low level. He's always trying to outdo. And as you guys know, with Rob, you piss him off. He always says, I'm not going to start the war, but I'm going to fucking finish it. What he did with CCW and Viking Hall, where he rented the whole thing for a year and told them to go fuck themselves. ICW, they started shit with him. He's like, okay, well, we're renting the hard ballroom now. Go fuck yourself. Things like that. And it's not like he starts the fights. It's just people, they're stupid. They're so stupid. A lot of these promoters, because if they truly believe what was said about Rob on Dark Side of the Ring, why would you fuck with him? That's
right.
I'm like, if you guys really believe that he's this evil and that connected and got all this shit and that vindictive, why the fuck would you fuck with him? Because tell you what, he's got more money and more balls than any of those guys.
He's done time.
Yeah. And aggression. Like that dude, piss him off. Go fucking piss him off. And these people are stupid, because he's very polite and passive. Like, after the show, I was the last one to leave, and I wanted to go, and I just hung out with them. So I left with Rob, Kat, and Rob's cousin, and I'm like, Kat, he needs to buy us food. I'm starving. Kat, she's like, Rob, dinner. So we go to Sonic. This dude is so polite. It's insane how polite he is. To a point, it was embarrassing. He's all like, hi, good evening. We'd like to order. And then the person says something, and then she goes, yes, ma'am. And she goes, I'm not a ma'am. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, he's so polite. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You were in prison for a year. Fucking grab him, punch him in the face, grab him, let's go.
Fuck your pronouns.
Pronouns, exactly. And then we pulled up, and he was apologetic, and so he's like that, And but if you piss him off, and he's still Rob Black on the inside,
Two sides to every coin. That's cool.
100%, and that's exactly it. And he always talks about on his radio show, I'm not going to start shit, but if you want to start shit, then good luck. And these promoters that barely survive, start.
It's always the East Coast. It's always the East Coast ones too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it is. It's a jealousy thing. I have no idea what the problem with them is. Maybe being threatened that there's a guy that's got more money and that's got more pull and
talent.
And talent, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing with CZW originally, that was crazy, because I was a fan. My brother and we were big fans of CZW, and then all that started happening. It was crazy because you almost had to pick side as a fan, because we were getting threatened by CZW fans, by West Coast promotion fans, by they were, see you at an event, we're going to beat you up, things like that. The first show at Viking Hall, the first time around, my brother was doing internet play-by-play, and somebody cut the phone line. So yeah, because so there was sabotage of the show where we couldn't do live play-by-play, and I was getting texts from a friend of mine going, "Oh, the message boards are saying nobody showed up to the event." I'm like, "It's sold out." There was like over 800 to 1,000 people in the arena, and but
For Hostile Takeover, right?
yeah, Hostile Takeover.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one where
No.
Terry Funk had his little.
Yeah.
Ooh!
I remember
Yeah.
not being able to listen to the play-by.
Yeah, because they cut the phone line, and so there was no live play-by-play. So it started back then, and then Zandig picked the fight with Rob. Rob didn't pick a fight with him, and Rob did start grabbing like Justice Payne and and guys like that to come to the promotion. It was just weird. Justice Payne comes over and jobs to Chris Candido first time. Like, well, whatever. Not my business. Not my business. You bring over the CZW champ and he loses to an old man. Well, I guess he was. Fuck you again, the CZW. Right?
Oh man. One other question we did have on Discord. Nina Hartley, who I believe you worked with on something. What was she like?
Incredibly professional. Oh, like these veterans, they've been through it all. They've seen it all. She's incredibly professional, very nice. I worked with her, I think, twice. It was for Tom Byron's Productions because he did a series called Seasoned Players, which was the title, and it was just like the older performers. And she was wonderful. And a few times I ran into her at expos. I was never a friend with her, but she was always like just polite.
Yeah.
Because performers from back then, they get it. They've seen it all. They're not entitled. They're very grounded. It's obviously different now with a lot of people. But she was wonderful, and talk about old school, like Christy Canyon.
Yeah.
Like wonderful. Not a lot of people know we dated for like 2 months. That's like the big.
That's awesome.
A lot of guys in the show, how'd you hook that up? I'm like, I went to a radio show dressed as like 14-year-old kid with my backwards hat, my sneakers, my jersey, and she came up to me after. She goes, "Here's my number." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "When I was flirting with you, it was real. It wasn't." I'm like, "Oh, all right, okay, cool." Like a month or so, because she had the Sirius Radio, XM Sirius Radio show.
Yeah, with Ginger. Yeah.
Go on there every day and go. Ivan keeps me up all night. Yeah, on the phone. Like, meet out.
Hey, babe, man, it's all right. It's all night Ivan over here.
Yeah, it's she's but she's like old school, and she's grounded, very polite, very very nice. It's just the old school performers. They get it. They've been around when it was actually shot on film.
Yeah. Golden era. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to have you back because there's obviously a lot to talk about. A lot of great things coming with XPW. Genocide. Oh my God, that's gonna be.
I'm so shocked. I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a double cage match. I don't know if you guys remember that the one they did last time. They hired. I don't know who the fuck they hired, but this fool. So he builds the cage, right? But the door. He measured from the floor up, not from the ring apron up. Right. So he had an 8-foot or whatever it was door or 7-foot door, but he had it from the floor. So when the ring apron was up, it was literally like 3-foot hole for people to crawl through to get in the fucking ring. You're like, stupid. What? Seriously? How do you not get that? Because the cage was not on the ring apron; it was on the floor. So yeah, I remember that part. So hopefully they get a better person this time.
Sure I would imagine. Jesus. Fucking moron.
God, man. But I wonder when they're going to do the show. I mean, because I don't know if Pomona can hold something like that.
It's set up for Pomona.
It's set up for Pomona.
Or it's listed as Pomona.
Unless it's not going to be in that exact spot.
Yeah, maybe. You see, the thing is,
you can fit 2 rings under there because there's that whole unused section.
Yeah. You could definitely. It just the only concern is it's not so wide.
Yeah. So
you can only get a certain amount of rows in there. I know he's talking about doing some kind of an exploding thing. That can't be at Pomona because there's a ceiling.
There's a good parking lot right next to it.
That's what I'm wondering. Is some of the stuff,
but the airport, dude.
See, that would be cool because the exploding ring matches first time around, man, it's insane because they were the first ones to do it in the United States, as far as I know. And Anita was supposed to be part of it. I know Anita did the one with Matt Tremont, but
yeah,
that's badass. End of the World said, "There's room." Chad said, "I'm working on it."
Oh, Chad's in. Hi, Chad.
well, no, End of the World's telling us what Chad said.
yeah.
Oh, Chad's.
He might have said it on the podcast.
Chad's badass. Chad's like an MVP, man. That dude. You know, like the last show when we were leaving from Jersey, they're all on their knees scraping up duct tape off the floor. Just the ring crew on the East Coast. My God.
You could tell that the West Coast ring crew stepped it up after seeing the East Coast.
Yes.
The last show.
Yes. The last LA show, the ring crew's great. And the funny thing is, every time I walk in, they're like, some call me Ivan, some call me Slava. They're like, "Oh man, I love your YouTube channel. I love it." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." You know, yeah. And then they're very personable. You know, all the ring crew guys on both sides, they're just very friendly because they're all like want to be wrestlers, right? Or like the wrestlers are training and stuff like that. So they're all just waiting for that opportunity. Some of them on the East Coast actually wind up wrestling in some of the matches because I see them later cleaning up. I'm like, "Oh, okay, got it."
Yeah.
Bandaged up and shit. Oh man.
Well, we've kept you 2 hours. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have you back. And
hold on, before we start wrapping, please promote anything you need to, you want to, and get it out there. All your links and everything.
Look who's here.
Munch says, "What the hell? I'm in charge of ring crew."
Well, there you go.
It makes sense.
Cock rings more than about the ring.
Did you hire documented people or undocumented people, Mr. Maga Munch?
That's the problem. Because he's worried too much about cock rings and not wrestling rings. Danny, wrestling ring, not cock ring. Okay. Promote. Okay, so my Instagram is I am Slivan, which Slivan is Slava and Ivan mixed together. So it's IAM Slivan, SLIVAN. The YouTube channel is RussianViking.com and Two Russians, One America. I'd like to keep that like that and figure something out with Misha so we can keep doing the channel because we have some really cool stuff on there. My Twitter is I'm Ivan XXX, and on Facebook it's just Slava Siderman, my real name. That's it. That's I direct for Alterotic. We shoot girls getting tattooed and doing scenes. I mean, like legit, like getting tattooed and doing scenes and some insane stuff. So if you're interested in watching girls get their buttholes tattooed while doing scenes, we got that. We doing movies like Ho Hunters, things like that. We're doing a lot. We're planning to doing possibly a gangbang with Vladimir Putin, not the real Vladimir Putin. It'll be a little difficult to get him here.
You never know. You could reach out.
You know, at Infantel 3, we did a whole thing called Daddy Vladdy's Little Pizzeria. And so I have a pizza box with Vladimir Putin's face on it. Says Daddy Vladdy's Little Pizzeria.
That's awesome. I want a shirt.
I have shirts. They're fucking cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wearing one. I had a tank top. I'm thinking of bringing him back because now that people are realizing that there's more to this story than it is, I'm like, okay, he's evil, but he's not that evil. Okay, let's just chill out. So
he's got to bang a girl on the back of a bear or something.
That's right. That's exactly. It'll be all good. So there's a lot of projects coming up that I'm working on, like the Ho Hunters 2, Ink Mattel 4. There's a bunch of award shows coming up, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to wear to them because I have to step up my game with my award game. Things like that. So that's it. Just very busy. Looking forward to XPW. With every show, I try to do different lighting setups and do different backgrounds. So I'm constantly reinventing the photos and shooting promos. And like I said, like I'm planning on doing something with Lindsay Snow that's going to be really, if we could pull it off, it's going to be really, really cool. I actually messaged Lou Dark this morning about doing something with her. So it's not like I'm just picking on the ladies. It would be cool to do some with the guys. Guys are just harder to wrangle in. The girls seem to be a little more receptive to stuff like that. So it's just constantly trying to reinvent and figure out how I could do more TV show for Rob because I really enjoy that part. If Misha does come back to XPW, I would love to do some more stuff with her because there's just opportunities after opportunities. I mean, she's got barbed wire nipples, for God's sake. She's as extreme as it gets,
Face hugger, yeah.
So that's about it. And just busy 2023. It's been busy already since just January. So looking forward to the rest of the year. Looking forward to another genocide. Holy mother!
We got like
And
3 more.
and Zandig. We all should make a prediction that it's going to be Zandig, and if
Let's
it's
will
not,
it into existence.
yes, please. I'm gonna DM this guy. I don't even know if he has a Twitter. I'm gonna DM him. Come on, dude. Let's go. It would be kind of cool, but who knows?
Oh, we have one last question.
Oh, is it Zandig? Is it Zandig?
No, not Zandig, but
well,
big.
Ref Danielle threw a girls rule, new XPW ref last few shows. I don't know how well you know Danielle.
No, I took some pictures of her. She's very nice. She's very nice. Oh,
Here's a
there's a
question.
big T one.
Big T question: do you watch mainstream pro wrestling such as WWE and AEW? If so, picks for the male and female Royal Rumble tomorrow.
Oh, the Royal Rumble's tomorrow. I don't watch the WWE. I haven't watched WWE in a long time. I TiVo it, and as of now, I'm never gonna watch it. Yes. Just let you know, because they cater to some assholes, and I'm not into watching assholes until they get fired. So I'm just saying, just an FYI. Plus, it's boring. WWE is boring. It sucks. I love AEW just because they let indie guys do their thing. And there's so much drama in AEW, and like real drama that you never know. Like, is CM Punk gonna come back? He's not gonna come back. He's gonna come and punch somebody in the face, or what's gonna happen? And the fact they actually had a death match with Nick Gage versus Chris Jericho, seriously, and getting pizza cutted while they're doing the Domino's commercial. That alone, the brilliant, unplanned shit that could ever happen. So AEW, Battle Royal. If we're talking about deaths, I could predict one guy, but I don't want to because it's not going to happen. But yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I think Roman Reigns, from the clips I've seen, is amazing now. He used to really suck. It was horrible watching him when he was a good guy. His promos were atrocious. Now he seems like he's got all figured out. Yeah, I don't watch WWE. It's boring. It sucks. It seems like there's only one cool faction there, which would be Bloodline or whatever they're called, and it's all about AEW for me. AEW, and now that I have Fight Plus, I watch all the GCW stuff. It's very entertaining to me. I watch some of the really, really bad wrestling from other promotions. Like there's a Memphis wrestling thing that's horrendous. They have Buff Bagwell there now. I'm like, oh, he's not buff anymore. He's just gross.
It's just
well, if you're watching this Buff Bagwell, he's still hot.
It's stuffed Bagwell now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I'll like flip around and watch some stuff that, because to me, like, I just want to watch wrestling, and good or bad, it's fun to watch it because you never know who you're going to see that's going to be big one day. When my brother and I used to go to the indie shows here, I was just talking to somebody about this. We got to see 20 years ago when XPW was just starting out, over 20 years ago, we got to see American Dragon wrestle when he was young, and Samoa Joe and Spanky. He might hate my people, but I love his wrestling. I mean, I don't care. All the guys are Super Dragon, who I still think to this day is the best wrestler I've ever seen. It sucks that he never got an opportunity to do anything outside of, I think, one match in WCW where he almost broke his neck doing a move off the ropes. There's a lot of guys. I mean, like Excalibur and Scorpio. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that are now in WWE and AEW that we used to watch. Brand new Adam Pearce. There's a guy actually from XPW that's there that is a writer who's a good friend of mine. So back then it was really cool to watch these indie dudes now grow up, and be legends. And seeing them back then is really, really cool. So. Yeah,
I'm assuming you're talking GQ Smiley, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. GQ Money Smiley. Yes.
Either way, whichever you want to call him.
He was the guy that actually, excuse me, he was the guy that flew us out, my brother and I, to Philly for a hostile takeover. He was a good friend.
Yeah, he was nice, dude. That's cool.
When I was in the hospital, he sent me really nice messages. He's a really good guy. Creative dude. But so to me, that's why I like watching this indie stuff. It's you just never know, the diamond in the rough that's going to show up and stuff.
Do you ever see, and it makes me laugh every time I see it. Every once in a while, someone will post a picture of Excalibur unmasked, and it's the Kleinrock picture.
And it's Kevin Kleinrock. Yeah, I know. I guess there's a YouTube channel that's got the 10 top lucha libre guys unmasked, and it's the one time Kevin dressed up as Excalibur for XPW, and they unmasked him, and it was Kevin, and they used that shot. It's like, are you kidding me? What the hell? But yeah. Well, you know, what the funny thing is with like, you know, AEW is so woke. But they have Excalibur, who has that video out there.
Tornado.
There's the hard R out there, you know? Like, what? And they kept him around. They're like, Hulk Hogan is banned from us because he said it in the privacy of his own bedroom. But Excalibur says it in the ring, and it's okay because he's friends with the Young Bucks. Okay. Yeah, right. But that's things like AEW. AEW is literally like a indie with a lot of money. That's what they are. They're owned by a fanboy who's an indie fan and a New Japan fan. Because I mean, let's be realistic. Some of the women that they have there, they're there for looks. Some of them. I mean, like I love Japanese wrestling, but some of those Japanese female wrestlers, I don't know. You know, it's
not like, all are gems.
Yeah. You know, like the really skinny one. I'm like that shit couldn't hurt a fly. And then she's like beating Nyla Rose. Are you kidding me? You know, at what point? With some realism, please. But AEW, I love AEW, especially when they have like the guys show up from WWE. You know, when CM Punk showed up, that was like I remember where I was when CM Punk showed up. I was at my friend Sasha's house. Misha was at home, and we're watching it live. And like we were like losing our minds. She didn't even know who CM Punk was. She just knew that he was a big name, but right. and how big he was. And I told her some stories about it. And just our pop was like, oh, you know, like it was amazing. And then when Bryan Danielson, and then I mean, like to have like Adam Cole shows up, and everybody thinks that's the big surprise, and then Bryan Danielson shows up right after him. I mean, like, talk about for fans who jizz themselves. That's the moment, you know. And you never expected American Dragon to walk out after Adam Cole. I mean, like, they're just surprise after surprise after surprise. Yeah. That's WWE just can't surprise anybody anymore. So so Brock Lesnar comes back. Whoop-de-whoop, he's come back like 20 times. You know, what else are you gonna do? No blood anymore. None of that stuff. It's you know, they're talking about going back to like a Attitude Era, but no blood. Okay. Well.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Can't have a Hell in a Cell without blood. I mean,
exactly, 100%. You know, in the hardcore match, no blood. That makes no sense. Yeah. So, I definitely.
You got to do it like Cody and just like have it so all the blood's still in your body from your bruise.
It's trying to pop out.
I can't play.
The worst shit ever compared to any death match. You see that? And that poor guy, the pain he must have been in.
That sucked the air out of an entire arena.
Right? You just want to, dude, just go back. Just go back in the locker room and go to the hospital. Good for you. I mean, he had to. Can you imagine like the whole buildup and then like he couldn't perform? Shit, man, he had to. And then I just saw something that his merchandise already sold out before Royal Rumble. So, but yeah, I'm not watching. I got rid of my WWE thing last year, and I don't need it. It's boring. I mean, like Peacock. At least I have Peacock. Someone's Peacock is on my Hulu, so I watch ECW stuff. You know, because and again with canned music, it's not the actual music.
I can't watch the ECW stuff.
Yeah. You just put it on mute when they come out.
No, you go to your iTunes and you put the actual song in.
See,
that's Metallica. Here we go. Enter Sandman or whatever. Yeah. So
I remember on the Go Funk Yourself, I want to say it was the Blu-ray release, all the music's muted. And I remember editing all the music back in, or on the DVD, I mean. I could watch it with the music because it annoyed me.
I'm going to need a copy of that, sir. Or at least watch it.
That was like 20 years ago. But it'd take like 5 minutes to do now.
Actually, I was going to say, I think I was 14 at that. So, man, I don't remember.
Well, see, here's the thing. We have this thing because, like, I'm 40-something. Pugs is like 10 years younger, but like we all went to XPW, but we weren't friends then.
Yeah. So I was like, you could have been hanging out with me, dude. I was like, you were a child. Exactly.
Yeah,
I was a cool child.
There's guys, there's fans in the crowd that are old XPW fans, and it's really cool. There's a couple of old dudes that actually wind up going to Jersey shows as well. And I was talking to them last show in LA, and they were telling me how XPW saved their lives back then because they were partiers, they were just hoodlums, you know. And so they said that once they started, XPW came around, it kind of like motivated them to do better and just go to the shows and get a job. And they still go to all the shows and they sit front row. Excuse me. The funny thing is, one of them had this big thing of beer, one of the shows, and what's his name? Pagano is in the ring. It's so funny. He like reaches out because he wants the beer, so he takes the beer to the ring, drinks it, and then spits it in Dirty Round's face, and then comes up to the rope, and instead of handing the guy the drink, he just throws the whole cup at him. You know, the whole thing just goes on the guy, and the guy's like, "Yeah!" Yeah, and he picks up his left and he finishes it off, throws it on the set. I'm like, there you go. There's an XPW fan. You know, and you know, that's the thing is being an old XPW fan. You remember if you're at the show when Sandman walks out, you know, the first time, and the pop. Because I remember it was at the Grand Olympic Auditorium, and my brother and I were setting up for his live internet play-by-play, and then there's drunk Sandman walking by us. So we're like, he goes, where's the locker room? Over here. And we're like, oh my God, Sandman's here. This is the most amazing thing ever. So all we wanted to do was wait for that song to hit because the whole crowd sings, you know?
Yeah.
Dude comes out and gets in, you know, beer, hits some Japanese chick in the head in the ring. And it was really cool. That was what XPW brought. Surprises like that. That's something that other promotions never did. It's small indies because they just couldn't afford it. And Rob could. And now it's the same thing. You know, when Latimer came out, some of the guys were like, fans were like, who's that? But then when they realized, they're like, oh shit, he's like the NWA guy. And I mean, he's a legit wrestler. That guy looks like a WWE guy. I mean, just size-wise. And you don't get that in other promotions. And the fact that Latimer took skewers to the head, I never saw that coming, you know? Yeah. And because he's a guy like that usually wouldn't take him, I wouldn't think, you know? But I think the cool thing is if Rob could pull this off where he brings in bigger name dudes to fight Masada and they all do the skewers, that'd be really cool, you know, like to bring guys, because that's like a one-of-a-kind thing where these dudes come in who don't even bleed during their matches, but they'll take fucking skewers to the head. That would be really, really cool. I don't know if it's a possibility. I don't know how many guys are willing to do it. The first show, this is really funny. So the first show, first time I saw the skewers being stabbed in the head. So we're backstage between matches, and Ruben, who co-owns Mass Republic, a good friend of ours.
Okay.
Misha and I were like, you think those skewers are real? You think they're gimmick? Because they stick in the head, and I'm like, I don't know. So the next match, I grab blood on it, and I take it backstage and go, they're real. They're real. There's nothing gimmick to them. They're real. He's just sticking them in people's heads.
You know how they know when to stop?
When it hits the skull?
Yeah.
So you
I actually asked one of them backstage. I go, has anybody ever done a science test? Like you know how they have whatever they got the sports science guy. Has he ever done a science test to see if a skewer could puncture a skull? You should do like a deathmatch version of it.
Where's Mythbusters when
scissors
you need
go
them?
inside a body? Damage. That's just a picture of a Japanese guy with scissors stuck in him. I'm like, how far does it have to go before it kills you? You know, like sports science deathmatch edition. That'd be kind of funny. You know something?
Cut this out. YouTube channel coming soon.
Presents sports science deathmatch edition. That's really good. We're gonna have to get like an actor who could play like build a science guy or something, you know, and do something like that. I think that'd be really, really good. How many death matches can you do with light tubes before you catch cancer? You know, is Danny Ramirez asking about cock rings again?
No,
a little bit. Nicole Bass getting a drink from a fan. That was my neighbor at the first XPW show.
Nicole Bass, the neighbor or the fan?
I just think Munch is talking.
That fucking giant human, holy moly!
You know, since Munch is there, I'll tell you, and I told him this too. And I don't know if you've when Butcher's out, I very much enjoy watching the ones that are getting really pissed off in the crowd about the whole thing that's happening. It's just and just how mad they're getting that this thing is a thing and it's happening. It's so entertaining.
It's so, you know, the crazy thing is how many people will sing along and chant, and half those people are probably not even like Trump supporters. It's
Wow,
just,
there's a
that's the
couple of
beauty
us here.
The beauty about indie wrestling is that it's an all-inclusive show. The interaction between the fans and the wrestlers, and sometimes too close, people play up to it, because the first time or the second time when he came out in LA, the whole crowd chanted "Let's go, Brandon," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" This is
Wait, did we start that?
I'm like, "This is great! It's funny. It's funny."
We chanted that. We chanted white privilege. We had a bunch of shit. Yeah,
Basically, the fucked up ones. Those are coming from
usually. Yeah.
That's great. It's funny.
We want Soul Taker here so bad.
Oh my god! Please.
You know something? There was a guy. He goes to both shows, and I thought he was a fucking asshole, but he's actually donated to my toy drive, which is cool. So
The Maggie guy with the hat.
Yes, the bald white guy with bald head for Jersey show, right? Soul Taker comes out, or Ninja Taker, and this dude is screaming, "Hard R Taker!"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and I'm assuming he wasn't yelling actually hard
hit him with a shovel, you know. And this dude just like, and the whole crowd's quiet, and all you hear is like, Taker, Taker. I'm like, oh my god.
I would defend this dude. It's XPW. Everyone's talking about safe space. This is the place to do it. Go for it.
But there's a fan that did come up to him, and I got pictures of it, and I had the GoPro rolling, so I'm like, I'm just gonna roll just in case there's a punch happens. And he walks up and goes, "You fucking say that one more time, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out." And the guy's like, "Oh, you know, I'm just having fun."
It's his name.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole point. The guy calls himself that, so you know, it is what it is.
Dad is
that's
scared right now.
I don't know.
We'll move along, Dan.
Oh man, yeah, that is huge, man. Holy shit, that's a big man.
Promo of the year. I don't see how anything could get
the Chris Benoit promo.
Yeah, dude,
that made us clutch our pearls, and that doesn't happen.
I don't drop my jaw. That shit dropped my jaw. Give him
the first Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore? It's natural, dude.
I'm backstage, right? And Soul Taker walks up to fucking Necro Butcher and goes, "Hey man, I'm going to join the MAGA party. I'm gonna be the Negro Butcher." I'm trying not to laugh, and the Necro Butcher's laughing, and I'm like, "I'm gonna be the Negro Butcher." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Okay.
Comes out with an apron and
now I want that to be the mystery partner. If it's not Zangman,
dark meat matters.
Oh shit! Too funny, man.
I need it.
Well, hopefully Genocide can live up to this show at this point and all the things we've called for.
Yeah, I know. Well, I hope I could get enough girls for the Mr. Extreme, because Rob's gonna lose his shit.
I have faith in you, buddy.
I'm gonna start promoting it. I'm gonna have to. Like, I was debating trying to figure out how to do a promo. I don't know if Misha's still in here, but Misha, I was trying to fucking reach out to you because I think that she could, if she's gonna be back, somebody needs to do a promo promoting and trying to recruit girls for Miss Extreme. I think would be really cool. So that part, that's kind of like I feel like I'm like responsible for that because I'm in the industry. But I'm looking forward to it. I think Rob doesn't disappoint unless somebody disappoints him, you know, or whatever. He doesn't show up. But I'm looking forward to see who this guy is. I hope it's Zandig. He's always got surprises. Every show has been surprised so far. I mean, it's not a level of Bryan Danielson or CM Punk, obviously, but for indie world, it's pretty
when
good.
he brought out Angel, he did for me. that was a big fucking deal.
That match, okay, yeah, you.
So with
that
Angel,
match.
my brother and I followed him for a year, doing a documentary on him. We got so much footage of him and lost touch. We never finished the documentary. So that first show, I go back to the locker room because everybody's doing the meet and greet, and there's a guy sitting there and he's staring at me and smiling like, "Why is this dirt staring at me? It's flirting." And he's all like, "Slava," and I'm like, "Angel." I haven't seen him in probably 20 years, and I'm like, oh shit, and so it was really cool to see him. He's such a nice guy, and even back then when he was going through all this stuff, he was the one guy we were always worried about the stuff that he was doing, the falls, like that fall in Pittsburgh where he missed the tape.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He was in a wheelchair for weeks. He said when he rolled over, he felt things moving around inside his body.
Oh my god.
And and he was such a team player, beyond the team player, and wonderful guy. And he's older, so that he just came out for that show, and then he goes, I don't think I can wrestle anymore. I'm out of shape, and I don't know if I want to do this, because he's got a regular job. He's married and all that stuff. And so he when they announced that he was going to wrestle, I was like, he is? Oh, all right. And that was a very memorable match, because that's the match that his comeback match. I don't know if he's going to do any more matches, and that's where Misha bled. That was insane, and everything. They had a lot more planned for it, just time wise and things like that. But that match was, like Drake and Schlack won Death Match of the Year. That could have been Death Match of the Year because of the violence and the women involved in it. And then Veronica take a power bomb through a chair. Man, I'm like, oh my god, it's a 50-year-old woman just taking a power bomb through a chair. Jesus Christ.
That was Nancy.
That was a lot. And Angel, and there's not a lot of old school XPW guys left. Crack was there at the show. When he was like, oh, Crack's here. What the hell? There you go, Crack's here. But that's about it. I don't know who's even around anymore, or is oh, it can't be Messiah, because Messiah was an XPW. Rob said Messiah. Whoever the surprise tag team partner has never been in XPW. Okay, so can you imagine if it was Messiah? Oh man! But
we know it's not at least 3 people.
Yeah. I just Zandig. It needs to be fucking Zandig. Please.
It has to be. I really hope so. And if it is, I don't want Rob to tell me. I want to be surprised when I get to the locker room. So if you guys see me at ringside and I have a black eye, it means I passed out. That means Zandig is backstage.
Next time I see you, I'm giving you a hug, dude. We are now buds.
Yeah. And
I never say anything because before the show you're just so busy.
Well, we always see you walking around, running back and forth, because you're right. Who said you're the hardest working man? Drake. Yeah, he's right. You are the hardest working man. We do see you moving back, going to doing your thing. Yeah,
it's a lot, because also, like, if I had 2 cameras, I would leave one backstage that's ready for the exposure and one ringside, but I don't. I have one, so I'm like, so as I'm running, I'm like switching the exposures, and with the wrestlers that are super bloody, I literally come on, please don't wipe off. The last show with Lindsay Snow, the 3-way where Lou Dark won the belt. Since it was a 3-way, the match wasn't over once she was eliminated, and she was drenched. And I wanted to get those pictures. So she's walking out. I walk up to her, go, please don't wipe up, or don't clean up. And I went back and finished the match. And as soon as the match was over, I grabbed a couple of celebration shots and ran straight to the back before her blood dried, so I could get the pictures. So it's just nonstop. Once it gets going, it's go, 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 go. I don't even have time to eat. Ruben, my friend, he'll go get a pizza and he'll bring it in the room. He's like, hide it. This is for you, and they'll have a couple of slices. But it just goes. I mean, like that first California show was 6.5 hours. We didn't get that until 3 in the morning, and then the next day wake up and get cramps because you're dehydrated. I couldn't even get out of bed. But I love it, because to me, because I have a friend who's like, oh, I want to come on and help you do stills. Then I become like selfish. I'm like, no, but I like to do the stills. I like the ringside. I like the backstage pictures and stuff like that. So I don't mind it. I wish there was another photographer that just was there, to do pictures. Maybe one with a flash, on-camera flash, so we have variety of images, because I don't use on-camera flash. I think it takes away from the whole drama of the actual grittiness of the action.
You had a few other photographers, though, at California, too, though, from my memory. So.
There were, and there was one guy, he was there for 2 LA shows with an on-camera flash. Never saw him again, never seen any picture. I have no idea who he was from, why he was there.
Sean Eric, is that? It's probably him. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, there was two other photographers. I'll hit up Sean. It might be. I know he did one of the at least one. But he has the flash and all that.
Yeah, to me, and the flash looks cool in some shots, but it takes away from everything else because now they're lit, everything else is dark around them. You know, so to me, I'd rather do the natural light because then it creates that more dramatic look. You know, like the shadows from above if they're laying down and they're lit up, and so I just think that's just a lot more cooler to tell that story. You know, and so yeah, to me, I just love it. I never look at it as hard work. I look at it as exercise. That's why I wear my Fitbit so I can count my steps.
There you go.
Jersey to 20,000 steps. You know, it's a lot, and it's up and down, up and down, up and down.
Because there's
that's
that one.
insane. Yeah,
it's upstairs. Yeah. I do the pictures upstairs in the little hallway. So it's a lot, but I enjoy it. I mean, it's such a great escape, especially when we get to stay in the hotel, so don't have to go back. Like the last LA show was the first time I didn't stay there. I drove in that morning and drove back that night. So you miss that whole connection with people and hanging out with people and talking to people because you're just so busy. You come in, you set up, shoot, and leave. The Jersey thing was great because of the fact that we could just sit and hang out. And you know, the funny thing is, when I landed in Jersey, I text Rob. I get to the hotel. I'm like, "Hey, how do I get in my room?" He goes, "You're rooming with Big F and Joe." I'm like, "What?" Okay.
And you didn't notice the trauma tattoo?
No, he was never in the room. I never saw him in the room until he was sleeping, and then I was just looking at his junk, you know, just to see.
He didn't look low enough.
He's a Big F and John. You know? So
that's the problem.
Yeah. So I DM him. I'm like, "Hey, we're roommates. I'm in the room," and he goes, "I'm next door." Necro's room. So I walk over there. God, man, it's such a surreal moment that obviously you can't shoot this stuff. And Rob was like so upset at one point, I guess, because hardcore hillbilly was like not kayfabing, like who's in the room with him and all this shit. So he's trying to like tell everybody's business. I'm not gonna do that because I understand how it works. At least I'm trying to learn. But so I go next door and I knock on the door and person opens the door and all I see at the end of the room is Necro sitting there with a beer and a joint, and he looks at me and goes, "Oh, brother, I'm sorry. I saw all that shit hopping online and fuck that guy." And I'm like, you know, and then he gave me a lecture about women and stuff like that. But it was surreal to me because he never really talks to me, you know, and then sitting next to him and he's like, so he's got a beer, he's got a joint, and he hands it to me. I go, "I don't smoke," and he goes, "I'm not giving it to you to smoke. Pass it down." He goes, "I don't want to hold it anymore. Pass it down." Sorry, sir. And then he like leans in and goes, look, I don't care if you smoke. If I hand it to you, just hand it to the next person. That's it. That's the game plan. Like, okay, and that's so much fucking beer there. It was insane. Oh my God, these dudes, man, wrestlers, you know, and they could pound them, I guess. I don't drink and I don't smoke weed, so I just kind of sat there. Next Jersey show, though, it's my birthday, so I'm fucking gonna drink, and Danny Ramirez could play with my cock ring, even though I don't have one.
You got time to get one. It should be a birthday present.
There you go.
I think love advice from the Necro Butcher, the MAGA Butcher, is just about the coolest thing I can imagine.
To me, it was the most surreal thing was that
YouTube series.
Sydney's telling me about women. I'm like, and there's a couple other wrestlers like, yeah. I'm going, you motherfuckers about to go bang some rats. So okay. Because one of them was like, I gotta go. I'm hooking up with a chick. I'm like, okay, well, good for you. I don't know why I made that voice. It wasn't Schlack.
It was supposed to be generic wrestler, whoever.
Generic. They all sound like this.
You just gotta throw in a brother at the end, and then you nail any
brother. Exactly.
It's crazy how legitimately everyone says that.
Yeah. It's so funny. And but yeah, that to me that was the surreal. It was actually basically like the mega MAGA room. So you know, I could say that hardcore hillbilly was there, and so was Necro Butcher, MAGA Butcher, and that dude's so young. That guy's only 21 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, really?
And, yeah. So I'm like, hold it, 21. I'm like, that's why you act like that. I get it.
Yeah.
He's like, He's like, you got to bring me to one of these award shows. I'll be your bodyguard. I'll dress in a suit. And I'm like, you just want to be around girls. You don't care about
Like, this is my safety, precious cargo. Are you for real?
Be getting stabbed in the corner, and he'll just be
right?
out there at the evil angel booth.
Yeah, right, exactly. But you know, the cool thing is, like with Danny, like every time I would walk in the room, he would go, "The Hall of Famer's here," and I'm like socially awkward. I'm shy, so when I'm in the room with a bunch of people, I'm definitely not the center of attention. Don't want to be. And I walked into the room with the night after the show. I walk in the room and shit you not, like majority of the rosters in there. And I walk in, Danny opens the door and he goes, "The Hall of Famer's here," and everybody, Hall of Fame. And I'm like, okay, this is so embarrassing, but it's really cool. But it's embarrassing. You know, it's really cool. It's embarrassing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, guys. This is really awkward. There he is. There he is.
Munch, I was there, but I don't smoke weed, and I had an asthma attack. Another one?
Yeah.
Goddamn, dude.
He did. Yeah,
Get that in there.
He actually left and went downstairs in the lobby, and I guess woke up while all these families were having breakfast around him in the, in the breakfast area. And I guess Sage showed up back from the ER and had to drag Danny.
That long? I know she had to wait like 6 hours. Damn,
Yeah.
and probably like
Kyle
an
said
8 hour
they
round
got
trip.
home. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
she
super
didn't
early
get
in
back
the
until
morning.
like 7 or something like that, 6 or 7 in the morning.
Once
Yeah,
again, fuck that hospital, Rutgers, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, they had to switch ERs because when we were driving to get Sonic, Rob was on the phone with her, and she was all like, "I'm still waiting in the ER." So he had one of the drivers go and pick her up and take her to another ER because she was sitting there for hours. And I mean it was nasty, you know, like you see like the skull, so that needs to be patched up fairly soon, you would think. But
Can
it's
I
a
get
hell
some
of a bad
saline at
moment.
least? Fuck.
Yeah, she said, or Kyle said she was hurting more at home now.
Oh,
it
God,
wasn't.
man.
Yeah.
Once it
I'm sure meds were wearing off. I don't, know what she got, but
Danny was showing us videos of them too when they were working for that other promotion years ago.
Ring announcing.
Like
LCW.
yeah, probably LCW when she was managing.
Sage is a beautiful woman. Back then, she was badass hot. Holy mother of God! I was like, what the? Who's that? It's her. Holy mother, because she's so pretty. Like when you see her without makeup, and she's so nice, and then I was like, yowza! Wow. Okay.
I've actually known her since she was 14.
Now I know who the player is in XPW. It's Kyle.
Yeah,
Holy mother of God!
Legion Championship Wrestling.
Yeah,
That's what it's
LCW.
called. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Pugs. Pugs has known Sage since she was 14.
Yeah, we grew.
Really?
Yeah, she's my homie.
She's only 17, so you've known each other about 3 years?
Yeah.
Pugs actually made her jacket.
Yeah, I made
Really?
her entrance jacket, the pumpkin one. Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Oh, so you do stuff like that too?
Yeah, I sew. Yeah.
AWS Sage.
AWS. Oh, also.
I guess he was showing you some AWS too.
Yeah.
AWS.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was the one at Frankenson's.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
the Frankenstein's because that guy sold like tapes too, right?
Yeah, bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't you show him any UEW, Munch? Come on. The only promotion
all the time. Oh my God, that was so much fun. And the best part was have you guys go to Frankenson's shows back then?
I didn't get shows. Yeah.
I've been to one.
So we used to go there quite a bit because
back in the corner,
the Wild Child who ran Rev Pro out of there. Angel wrestled there once in a while, and so we would go, and you're standing in line to go inside, and right to the right of you were a bunch of kids playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? And this is the best part. So these wrestling fans, marks, are making fun of the Dungeons and Dragons guys, and I'm like, we're gonna go watch wrestling, right? You're making fun of them. We're all nerds. We're at Frankenson's buying comic books and gonna go watch wrestling, but you're making fun of. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but you're making fun of them? We're gonna go watch you guys punch each other like this.
We are doing the same thing on different levels.
Yeah, they're rolling dice and we're just sitting there.
Yeah, at least they're doing something.
That's right. At least they're having some physical activity. They're working out their hands. Their wrists. Dice. Yeah, Frankenstein's is cool. Like I haven't been there in a while, but that's like nerd heaven. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, I love
Bunch
that.
of cool shit
It's
and delicious
smart.
food. So,
Do they have delicious food?
they
Yeah.
do. Every now and again, they have this train that has a barbecue pit in the back. That shit's awesome. And
Do
then
they still have
their
it at the new
nachos.
one?
I you know I haven't really been going. I've been there once since they
Okay.
changed locations.
Wait, they changed
Twice.
locations?
Yeah, they're a couple exits away.
Oh,
It's
but they're
a-
still
and
out
it's
that area.
Yeah, and it's an air conditioned building this time.
You want a little bit of trivia? there is
Oh.
there is an XPW AWS connection.
Really?
The tables.
All of the tables
Yeah.
used at California XPW shows were ones I got from Bart from AWS from Frankenstein's.
Yeah.
They got all new tables, and I got those tables super cheap.
Ah, there you go. Hey, man, the money they see the death matches are so expensive because the weapons are
Yep.
expensive. Like light tubes
Well,
are not cheap. Like when I
yeah.
watch like Matt Tremont's promotion in ICW, I'm going, that's why they don't pay the wrestlers. They spend all their money on fucking light tubes. Holy shit! I remember
We're not
Rob
even keeping the lights on.
yeah, exactly. Can we keep? Yeah, right, exactly. Oh, we're out of tubes. Take one out. Let's go. Someone needs to get hit in the face with one. Man, they're expensive. I didn't know they were that pricey. I thought they were like 50 cents a pop. They're not. They're like $2-3 a pop. Holy shit!
Yeah.
So when a guy steps on one, like, oh, there goes $3. Somebody just didn't get paid tonight. Hell.
I know the first thing Masada does is like break a bunch of tubes. It's always like, oh, that's $30.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And the coaches too. Yeah, it's so. And doors can't be cheap. Panes of glass can't be cheap.
You got to look for like doors. Like the trick I was told was go to like Habitat for Humanities because you can get all the used doors. So that that once people donate, then they sell them off for cheap. You can get lucky and find shower doors and stuff like that too.
Oh, but those doors, what are they made of? They look like cardboard. They're not even like.
Yeah, you got to knock on them there first.
Yeah.
Front door doors. Right, those doors are like bedroom doors. They're not front door doors.
Right? Yeah,
Doors are, like,
exactly.
thick. They're not going to break.
Yeah, they're inside doors.
Yeah, inside doors. Yeah, because when they pop open, but yeah, you could kill somebody throwing them into a real.
Yeah, don't do that.
The front door.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the was it the one of the shows in LA? They had a table with 3 legs, so they had a third one, and
Yes, okay. I'm going to tell you this right now. I told the ring crew there was 3 legs. You have to take off the center one. They said they had it. They didn't do it.
It was so stupid because Mickey Knuckles almost
so
died.
bad.
She almost died, and Ludark almost died because they couldn't break the table. I'm like, of course not going to break. There's a fucking one in the middle,
Leg, yeah.
and it was probably so heavy having the third leg there. Holy shit! I've never even seen a table with 3 legs.
Right. Like I think what, a 12, 14 footer of that. Maybe that's what extra leg.
You know why that table had 3 legs, right? Because it was black.
Ah, darker table.
Ching, you're welcome. There you go, you're welcome.
All right. I think on that note, we said we were
Closing on the dick joke.
We said we were wrapping like
Big dick
45
joke, big
minutes
dick
ago.
Dudley joke.
Big joke.
Big Dick Dudley joke. Fuck yeah, dude.
All right.
Huge erection.
Yes. Oh, wait. Is it? Don't you? Oh, wait. What is it?
Ivan erection.
Thank you. There we go. I knew you had one too.
That was originally.
But yes, I know we did. We said we were leaving.
We kept you a little longer.
Stories just keep coming. All these dick jokes.
Yeah, it's easy.
Slava, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You're gonna come back on the show for us, right?
Oh, dude, this was great. This was
Fuck
like
yeah.
the best one I had in the fucking ever.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna pitch you something off air too.
Yeah, thank you for spending this time with us. We really appreciate it. You're fucking awesome. You got stories for days, and I want to hear all of them. So please, on here or when we hang out.
Like we have a connection. So
I was a child.
We all have.
It's funny. Like other than Dan, pretty much all of my closest friends are because of XPW. Yet at the time of the first run, I didn't talk to anyone there. It was like there was 3 of us. We went because we bought our front rows, went left, but we all like connected later at different promotions. It's weird.
Huh. Wow. Yeah. What a small world. XPW brings friends together. Look at that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, one last thing, you just did that. So I've been taking pictures, close-ups of the wrestlers with my ring light, and so it creates a circle. I'm actually going to try to find where I could make an X. so I could take pictures of them with the X showing up in their eyes. I think it would be a lot cooler
That'd be
than
dope.
the circle. So if I could find one that I could shoot through it and then put a couple of, so it's an X, would be really, really cool. So that's my game plan.
That is dope.
All right, let's wreck our brains. I'm in.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the chat tonight. And thank you once again, Slava. And we will see you guys back here for Squared Circle Society on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And
then Flesh Wound Horror on Wednesday. So
Flesh Wound Horror Wednesday. All right, guys. Good night. See you next time.
Good evening, Pugs.
I'll see you in Disneyland. Thank you, Slava.
Thank you.